Reader's Digest about voting to select a national flower. Leon votes for dandelions, Joseph and Clyde vote for grass. Leon, in a letter he wrote addressed to, quote, respected sirs and madam, he recounts his meeting with his mother but describes it much differently. In Leon's account, he told her off, he called her an old witch and told her to be gone. He described some dramatic encounter where he almost wards her off like a spirit. And perhaps that's what he thought happened in that altercation, or what he wanted to. Not long after this, a psychiatrist calls Leon into his office to inform him that his mother has passed away. Leon's response to this is, I have no mother. She disowned me a long time ago, and I have disowned her. He goes on to say that he didn't hate her, just the evil ideal within her, and otherwise shows no reaction to this information. Leon goes on to say that he does not want to attend her funeral, and then when asked if he felt bad about his mother's death, he said, no sir, why should I feel bad? She wasn't my mother. And then when asked if he wants to take the rest of the day off from work, he says, no, why would I? However, rather bizarrely, that same day when they have their group meeting, Leon insists that Joseph died. Keep in mind, Joseph is 2 chairs away. Or 1 chair, I'm not sure what the order was. I think Clyde was in the middle, but maybe they moved, I don't know. It seems that Leon has misimplied this information with his mother's death and instead put it on Joseph. He says that the body attending the meeting is not Joseph, although it is the same shape as Joseph. Joseph's response to this is to say, there are some people that wished I had passed away, but I have not passed away. Rockage asked if perhaps he's getting the news of someone's death mixed up. But Leon says he is not, and in stark contrast to his mother, while describing Joseph's death, who again is right there, he is very distressed and sad. It's hard to tell if this is the emotions that he was residing for his mother just coming out projected onto Joseph, or if he is legitimately distressed at the thought that Joseph is dead. Beyond this, there's more interesting interactions during the meeting. Leon says that he thinks people can be cured of schizophrenia with medication and positive therapy. Rockage asks if that's what Leon needs, and Leon says that when his alternate position is shaken off, they'll be good to go. During one meeting, Rockage suggests they could get some artwork to hang on the walls of the otherwise dull meeting room. And Joseph says he likes this meeting room because it reminds him of England, and then says, start putting pictures on the wall, everybody will come over here to look at them. And then there'll be somebody in here all the time. At one point, Joseph goes to the social service department of the hospital. When the secretary asks, can I help you? Joseph's response is, yes, I am God. I've come to see about a release from the hospital. He doesn't even call himself Joseph anymore, just, hello, it's God, nice to meet you. Earlier in the study, Rockage asked the men to meet on their own over the weekends, and then Joseph would write a report over what they talked about. So over Easter weekend, Joseph writes a report about Jesus dying on the cross and the beauty of the resurrection, and now we have new life. And then at the end adds, I'm the one who died upon the cross, God, for the resurrection of life. Again, it's like he understands something, but then the fantasy's incorporated. After the study went on for a couple months, Rockage decided to switch it up a bit. To see what would happen when the 3 men were given reign over the meetings, he instituted the idea of a rotating chairman. So every meeting, it would be one of the 3's responsibility to find the other 2, come to the meeting, and then lead the discussion. Joseph was made chairman on the first day and very excited about it, but then was upset the next day when it went to Leon because he thought he got to be chairman forever. And it's almost like Leon was trying to outdo Joseph because when it was his turn to be chairman, all of the discussion topics were communism, socialism, capitalism, movies, government, things to try to sound smart. What was interesting in this dynamic is, especially from Leon, there was a striking amount of care for each other, which was kind of the idea of this. One person becomes responsible for the other 2. Something that is rarely seen in paranoid schizophrenics, as most often they are concerned about themselves and, paranoid of others. Midway through Leon's time as chairman, he apologized to Clyde for leaving him out of the discussion. When it was Joseph's time to be chairman again, he, for some reason, walked into the common area and invited 2 random people to come to the meeting. And the 2 random people just followed. Rockage had to stop and be like, what are you doing?
What are you doing?
Go find the 2 correct ones. When asked about this later, Joseph just kind of ignored it. Perhaps he was confused and embarrassed that he picked the 2 wrong guys. Quote, the meeting typically opened and closed with a song. The pattern of singing became established one day early in October when Joseph brought a songbook to the meeting. During the session, while Joseph was reading America, he and Leon spontaneously began singing it. As they did, both stood up, and Clyde joined them. From that day on, the men sang various songs from the songbook. So moving on from here, every meeting they would start and end with a song, most often America. And then this next paragraph is one of the most touching parts of the entire study. At first, Clyde had some difficulty reading the small print in the songbook. Leon noticed this, and the next day, as they were about to sing, he extracted from his pocket a piece of paper on which he had copied America in large print. With Leon in the middle and Clyde and Joseph standing close on either side of him, barbershop style, they sang America. From three men who started out fighting each other that each one of them was Jesus and the others were liars, this is a remarkable amount of progress when it comes to social understanding. Not only are they near each other and choose to be around each other, something very uncharacteristic of paranoid types, but Leon saw Clyde had trouble reading and then thought about it enough to go copy the whole song.
They're friends. What's wrong with that? They're crazy, but they're friends.
That are questionable near its end.
What's wrong with being friends, even if you're crazy?
To not understand why Rockich wanted to keep pushing. If you asked anyone at the hospital before the study began if these men were capable of something like this, I'm sure they all would have said no. But even if it's just from the time they're forced to be around each other, these human emotions started to come through. About
Friendship.
6 months in, Joseph had to miss one
The
of
greatest
meetings
ship.
because he was in the hospital. He had felt a pain in his chest, so to treat it, he went to the laundry room and got bleach to rub into his skin, which, as you could imagine, burned a lot. Which, while you could question why people in a psychiatric hospital had access to chemical cleaners, it was 1959. I'm just glad they weren't throwing them in those giant pins or whatever it was they used to. So Leon and Clyde went to visit him, and after it was suggested by a research assistant, brought him flowers. Joseph made a big deal of this, was very appreciative, and for a long time spoke of how much he enjoyed being around Clyde and Leon. And in combination with this, they seemed to be showing improvements in their schizophrenia. For example, around this time, Joseph started to say that he was
60,000 off Mud Dragon.
There were signs of progress being made, but in other places, not so much. For one, Joseph's whole going to the bathroom thing kept up, and he had now also added the habit that if Leon was in the middle of a story, he would choose that time to return books to the library. But at the same time, he would say that they should have meetings twice a day. It's like he wanted to be there and be around them, but as soon as he was there in a meeting with them, he didn't like some of the confrontation, especially when it came to identity. Sure, now if one of them said, "I'm God," the other two would say, "That's your belief," or mutter that "I'm actually God," and they would drop it. But it still seems that people like Joseph didn't like that confrontation. For example, in one meeting, when Clyde wasn't there because his daughter had taken him out for the weekend, Leon was very adamant that Clyde was not there because he's dead. It was around this time as well that Leon's mythos started to expand. He started to incorporate two figures he had, his light brother and his light sister. And eventually, his light brother took his wife, the Virgin Mary, to be his own wife. And it was also around this time that he got really fascinated with Yetis. Not long before, in their group meeting, they had read an article about Yetis in the Himalayas. And Leon started to incorporate this into his worldview and say that the Yetis are actually an ancient race of people, once untouched by the sin of Adam, and that they're actually the holiest group of people out there. And because his previous wife has now gone to his light brother, who I don't think he ever brought up after he mentioned him, so it's like the light brother was just used as a way to move his wife somewhere else, he is now going to marry his Yeti wife, who he describes as the Queen of Queens. He says there is going to be a huge wedding with a banquet and everyone's invited. He describes that some of the food that will be offered at this banquet is genitalia. And also, in a letter he writes, goes into extreme detail about how he is to consummate
Everybody gets
his
to eat dicks.
Yeti wife. He also describes this Yeti wife of his is also his
goddamn
Yeti
wife.
Because in his mind,
Yeti
the figure
wife,
of motherhood and the figure of
wife,
a sexual partner or wife are one and the same.
Yeah.
Sigmund Freud could have wrote a book about this guy. Then one day, Leon, who is going by Rex, mind you, walks into a meeting and says he has a new name. What is that name? Dr. Righteous Idealized Shit. Or, because he said it would be improper to say shit around a woman, Dr. Righteous Idealized Dung, but they can refer to him as Dr. R.I.D. or Dr. R.I.S. Why did he do this? Well, according to him, his Yeti wife mother visited him and told him that that's what his new name should be. Because dung is something that is passed through the body and forgotten about. And since he is Jesus Christ, because keep in mind he's not losing that moniker, He is righteous and idealized and should present himself as such, but should also be humble. And what is more humble and lowly than poop? Rocky tries to talk him out of this for a while. He's like, what kind of name is Dung? The other two don't seem to mind. Joseph's like, if you want to be called Dung, I'll call you Dung. This eventually leads to an altercation with the nurses because if they don't refer to him as Dung or Dr. Dung, he refuses to acknowledge anyone in the hospital. So there were multiple times where they would try to get him to come to dinner or take medicine or whatever, and he would just pretend like he couldn't hear them. So during one of the meetings, the head nurse comes in and says that she and the women of the hospital will not refer to a patient as poop. So they come to a compromise where the nurses can refer to him as RI if they prefer, but everyone else should continue to refer to him as RID. This compromise
I can see his gun fucking
he also
flipping.
goes by RI. It's also around this time Leon starts to get kind of difficult when it comes to things with the group. Like, for example, Joseph had made a calendar, basically, to say who is going to be chairman on what day. But Leon no longer follows it because the calendar says Rex, and his name's no longer Rex. It is Dung. So Leon refuses to go along with the rest of the group until they change his name and all of it. And also, his bathroom breaks are taking a really long time and occur during every meeting. So one day, they ask him about it, and he says...
He's like masturbating.
Okay. He tells us during the daily meeting that he has made a relic by taking 9 sheets of cigarette paper and blessing them with seeds. So he's apparently been doing that every meeting. And Rocky continues to kind of like question Leon about why he's doing this. And then midway through, Joseph stops the conversation by balancing a cigarette on his nose. And everyone else is like, well, that's pretty cool. And they drop it. It's almost like, and Rocky talks about this later, it's like Leon, consciously or not, was getting too comfortable. Like in the 5 years of confinement he had up until this point, he kept to himself, he did his private prayers and rituals. But then now, he had spent several months around a group of people that he was beginning to care about. Sure, he would still say he was God if you asked him, but there was a reclusion from all of his lore about, well, I'm married to the Virgin Mary, and my uncle is the Archangel Michael. But then, probably subconsciously, as he gets more comfortable, his mind begins to come up with these more grandiose scenarios. He has a light brother that took his wife, so now he gets a wife from the Sacred Yeti people, and the Sacred Yeti wife mother told him that he should change his name to Dung, and now he has to go to the bathroom to make his relics. It's tragic, but it's almost like his mind can't let himself get better. And Leon seems to have the most consistent thought process out of the group. So there's a good chance he put together that the other 2 men also believe they're Jesus. And if they're Jesus, he can't be Jesus. And if he's not Jesus, then that means he's Leon. And he doesn't like that. Or his mind doesn't like what Leon is. There's a quote Rocky uses a couple times describing Leon in the book that I think is impactful when he says, Leon became Rex for a good reason. And that reason is still there. His brain perhaps defensively went into this withdrawn state because of the awful livelihood he grew up with, coming to terms with what his childhood and what his mother was. And with all this trauma between that and his mother and his upbringing, Rocky was right when he said he had a good reason for becoming Rex, and that reason was still there. And it continues throughout the book, but it's so heartbreaking that every time he's about to make progress and a substantial connection, like writing down song lyrics for Clyde, his brain sweeps that happiness from him. All 3 of the men are tragic, all come from tragic backgrounds and have very tragic effects that their mental illness has brought them. But I feel the worst for Leon. I feel like his life was one of a lot of misery and not a lot of reprieve. Possibly because of Leon's newfound mood, the general emotion towards the meetings begins to dwindle. Guys say they lost interest, they'd rather do something else. So to see if they're still dedicated to come to the meetings, Rocky says that the meetings will now be held in a different building at the hospital, meaning the guys have to make the effort of leaving the building if they want to be there. Sure enough, when the next day comes, no one shows up. When Leon's asked about why he didn't come, he seems remarkably depressed, sadder than Rocky has ever seen him. The guys have their first big fight after a while when one day Leon mentions that he has Joseph's squelch eye. If you'll remember, squelch is a word that Leon has used to describe like the squelch chamber in his brain, which is like energy that gets rid of negative energy. And from his description, it sounds like the squelch eye is like a third eye on your forehead that can see into cosmic reality. And Leon one day says that when Joseph died, the first time, he took his squelch eye. And then Joseph, who's never thought of a squelch eye before, gets upset because it's like, hey, give me my squelch eye back. And Rockage, trying to make peace, says, maybe you both have a squelch eye. And then they both unanimously agree there's only one squelch eye, and they both have it. During the fight, Joseph yells, Mr. Dung doesn't know what he is talking about. He's just a big pile of shit. Which is funny in itself, but then Leon replies, you are so right, sir. I'm a big pile of righteous, idealed shit. Again, it's like Leon is doing defensive measures to push people away. During one period, he refuses to sign the chairman list because he says Joseph wrote his name with a fancy C. What actually ended this argument was unrelated to the group. One night, Joseph was going to his bed, and a different patient was sleeping in his bed. A patient that, unbeknownst to Joseph, had very violent tendencies. So when Joseph told the guy to get out of his bed, he just punched Joseph in the face. When asked about why he thought this happened, Leon said, quote, it was the cosmic evil eye that got him in trouble. It's the evil eye that I hate. After that happened, for a while, Joseph was afraid of being hit again. So he makes peace with Leon, afraid that Leon's going to punch him. One day, when discussing his Yeti wife, Leon remarks that she has light brown hair, not combed, it's natural as it grows. She's about 7 feet tall and more than 200 pounds in weight. For one, cool, but this is in stark contrast to how he described his previous wife, a woman he described as small and 4'10". It's like the needs in his mind are changing to suit a new purpose. As this dynamic in his mind got more intensive, he started to relinquish some of the blame he had put on his mother. During one meeting, he said, I said before that the old witch died through negativism, but this was through duping. It's possible that she repented, therefore she went to purgatory and later to heaven. Possibly. She died from a broken heart, and there's a possibility she did repent. This is an extreme amount of forgiveness, possibly the most that Leon can afford his mother. Leon also quit shaving and allowed his beard to grow out to prove that he had Yeti blood in him, because according to him, those with Yeti blood would have a beard that would grow to an inch and a half and then stop. Because during this time with the beard and the long hair that Rocky said, Leon had a striking resemblance to images of Christ. So at this point, the study's been going on about 8 months. Once they came up with the chairman idea, Rockage no longer brought up the fact that they all believed they were God and just let them come to that argument on their own. However, this is a study and, there's money and workers involved and they don't want this to take forever. And it's clear after 6 months of the chairman thing that while some progress may be made, it's probably going to stagnate about where it's at. So in February of 1960, Rockage elects to bring up the concept again. So during a meeting, Rockage says, hey, if we're calling Leon Mr. Dung, then how about we call Joseph Mr. Christ and we call Clyde Mr. God? All three men immediately reject this idea. As a matter of fact, this doesn't start a fight with each other, it starts a fight with Rockage. It's interesting, they begin
I gotta say, Wendigoon is the biggest hipster I have ever seen in my entire life.
Against it because he doesn't want the two of them
it's
to be
hipster
God.
times
But for
1,000.
Clyde and Joseph, it seems that they are aware that would bring about too much scrutiny, or that they don't want to be called by this name that isn't their given one. Rockage brings this up to Joseph and says, well, if you don't want to be called
Hipster's hard
Mr.
to
Christ,
define.
does that mean you're not Christ? To which Joseph says, I know what I am, I don't have to be called that. As the fight continues, once again like he did in the first meeting, Leon says that this is indirect agitation. Seemingly to offer an olive branch in the midst of this, Leon says that he can go back to being called Rex if it makes Rockage happy. When Rockage asks why Leon doesn't like this idea, if it's because he cares about the other two men, Leon says indirectly, yes. Shortly after this, the meeting is adjourned, but a week later, Rockage pushes the button even further. See, Rockage was talking about this study at Eastern Michigan University as it was going on. As you can imagine, it was a big deal amongst his colleagues. And recently, the Ypsilanti Daily Press reported on one of the speeches he gave about the Three Christ experiment. So Rockage shows up to the meeting with a news clipping of that report and gives it to Leon, who is immediately upset by it, but reads it aloud for the group. The article goes as follows. 3 mental patients, each claiming to be Jesus Christ, have been brought together at the Ypsilanti State Hospital. The purpose of the experiment is to see what happens when a person's belief in his identity is challenged by someone claiming the same identity, says Dr. Milton Rockage. Rockage, a Michigan State University psychology professor, made a report on the project Wednesday night to the MSU Psychology Club in East Lansing. He said he is interested in finding out why a person believes he is who he is. Useful data on personality beliefs have been gathered from the experiment.
220.
To date, Rockage said, One subject has changed his belief about being Christ and has taken on another false identity, but we still are not sure what the long-range results will be. This one taking on a false identity is in reference to Leon changing his name to Dung. The other two subjects still believe they are Christ. Both are older and have been hospitalized longer than the one who was changed. One says the other two are dead and are operated by machines inside their bodies. The patient who changed his belief claims the other two are subject to electronic interference. The third patient thinks the other two are crazy. After all, he knows they are in a mental hospital. So this is completely blowing any semblance of what this experiment's for, why the men are gathered together, out the door. As Leon read this, Clyde fell into a stupor, and they thought he was asleep, but when they asked him a question, he managed to answer before he went back into a slump. It's as if he completely shut down at this information. Leon's response was as follows: "Sir, there's indirect warped psychology here because I respect manliness as Jesus Christ, and that's missing out of this. And I also did mention that what's written on my birth certificate is so and is included in my name, Dr. Righteous Ideal Dung, and that's not in here.
Dr.
And
Righteous
I haven't changed my
Ideal
personality
Dung.
as far as that goes. I'm still who I am as my
Dr.
birth
Righteous
certificate
Ideal
says, and
Dung.
pertaining to manliness, Jesus Christ as far as I'm concerned. I wish that could have been in here. It would have changed the entire picture pertaining to the dignity of manliness. When psychology is used to agitate, it's not sound psychology anymore. You're not helping the person, you're agitating. When you agitate, you belittle your intelligence." Leon got up from his chair and said he had to go to the bathroom, but then Joseph says something very interesting. Joseph says, "False identity. It's a waste of time. They're making fools out of themselves, those fellows in that paper. What it says in the paper is plain enough. That's a truthful report right there. Doctor is not crazy by any means. The patients who are claiming they are Jesus Christ are wasting their time. I'm sure that a man who has faith in himself doesn't claim to be Jesus Christ. He wants to be himself. If there are such hospital cases as stated in this article, I think he would do better for himself if he would think or claim a different manner for himself in the hospital. I'm pretty sure he would have a better chance of being freed from his insanity." This is so fascinating. Joseph hears a report about himself and says that the guys mentioned certainly just don't want to be themselves, and gives some interesting insight when he says, "I'm sure that a man who has faith in himself doesn't claim to be Jesus, he wants to be himself." But yet he can't apply that analysis to himself, who the article's about. So Rockich begins responding to Joseph. Who are they talking about in this article? Oh, they're talking about 3 mental patients claiming to be Jesus Christ who don't know any better. But one recognizes himself, recognizes his identity, as it were, so he's better than the other 2. He says they're crazy. Do you know who they are? No, I don't. Do you have any idea? No, their names aren't in the article. What about the one who's better? He's not wasting his time to try to be Jesus Christ. Why is it a waste of time? Why should a man try to be somebody else when he's not himself? Why can't he be himself? You mean if a person thinks he's Jesus Christ, he might be sick? Why not? What if a patient thinks he's God? Pure insanity, that's all. Should he be changed? Why, certainly, and give up that belief. That's right. He should be sent to a hospital, not to be gotten out, not to be dismissed until he's gotten well. How do you know when he's well? When he claims he's not Jesus Christ anymore. When he claims his name is his real name. Which is what? What is his real name? I don't know his name. Will he be well when he claims he's not God? That's right. The doctor recognized the point that he got to such an understanding that he knows that he is. Now, this man is not crazy, I would say. If he claims he's God, does that mean he's still crazy? Sure. Do you know anyone who's done this? I don't know anyone. Is it possible that any person who thinks he's God could be right? No, that's the same thing as Jesus Christ. Clyde, do you want to say anything? Clyde raised himself from his stupor long enough to say, "Not very much," and then retreated back into it. I then sent Joseph after Leon, who was still in the toilet. This is such an insanely fascinating conversation. It's like every part of Joseph's brain is working except just his identity. And like, it applies correctly to other identities. He has realistic terms and ideas for someone else in the same scenario, but there's no self or mirror to apply these revelations. Leon returns from the bathroom still mad and says that Rockich is not a real doctor. Leon continues to yell, saying that the doctor has made a fool of himself. Joseph defends the doctor, saying the doctor does a good thing coming out here to these meetings, and adds that perhaps if Leon's going to be this way, he shouldn't come to the meetings anymore. This leads to Leon and Joseph getting into a fight, and then the meeting ends. by singing America. Clyde wakes up to stand up and sing America, by the way. In the next meeting, Rocky starts yet another fight. He opens the meeting saying, "How is it that Leon has 4 names?" Leon gets upset, saying he only has 3. Dung, Rex, and Christ. To which
Dung, Rex, and
Joseph,
Christ.
very flatly, with no emotion, says, "How can there be 2 Jesus Christ?" It is so frustrating how close he is. And it seems that a part of Leon's brain is working that way too, because he immediately gets mad at Rokeach and says as far as Leon's concerned, he can get out and stay out. Leon leaves to get a drink of water, and when he comes back, he's still mad and says, "You are trying to change him and change me." Rokeach says, "Who is the only Jesus Christ?" And Joseph says, "I am." And then Clyde yells, "No, I am. You never was, and you never will be." And Joseph suggests that Clyde adjourn the meeting as he's the chairman, and Joseph says, "I need to keep my identity. I can't give up my identity." Again, every time there's a step made, it's like their own mind pulls them back. It's heartbreaking. Rocky asks Joseph's feelings about the article, and Joseph now recognizes that it's about the 3 of them. "Why are you in a mental hospital, Joseph?" "I was crazy, I guess." "I wasn't crazy, but if I say I wasn't crazy, it's not true." "Have you ever read an article like that before?" "Yes, I believe I read the same article." I laughed at it and disregarded it, forgot about it. Because of the stress this caused, they elected to no longer directly bring up the concept of identity. Because of the stress it caused, and it didn't work after all this time together, and it would just be cruel to bring it up again. I mean, if you just keep asking it to someone that doesn't understand, it's akin to torment. So they try some new strategies off of this. What if they bring the men together instead of pitting them against each other, putting one in charge at a time? The first thing they do is say that the men can have a ground card if they all agree to use the ground card at the same time. Basically, they were allowed to go to different buildings for work or for passes, but with a ground card, you can walk around the grounds of the hospital whenever you want. All of the men say no. If they have to share it, they don't want one at all. Eventually, not being mean, they relent and just give each of them their own individual ground card. But then there's another way to push them together. They decide to put the 3 men into the Ypsilanti's hospital parade. Every year they have a little parade where different groups within the hospital make these little floats out of beds on wheels, and they have a little parade outside around the courtyard. Very cute idea. So Rokeach tasked the 3 men with going outside and making a parade around the flora and fauna that you can see on the hospital grounds. The 3 men at first are super excited about this and talk all about how they're going to work together. And then almost immediately, Leon just does everything himself, says he doesn't need the others' help or their documents, designs a float's a strong word. It's like brown construction paper, but he has drawn a very detailed building on the brown construction paper and then taped leaves to it. And then him and Joseph push the float on the day of the parade, and Clyde follows behind, picking up the branches that fall off. So, cute and all, but not really to the end goal of getting the 3 men to work together. The idea being if they can work in harmony with each other, their identities will become solidified with each other, and the resulting conflictions might work themselves out. But it looks like that's not happening. One interesting thing to note is after that fight that occurred when Rokeach showed the article to the 3 men, for several weeks afterwards, Joseph began
These poor
attending
guys,
chapel.
they should
You don't
not
really
have
think
met
about it,
each
but it's weird
other.
for 3 people who say they're Jesus to not go to church. But Joseph
It's
started
like the
going to chapel,
scientists kind
writing
of
about
played
how
a
much
joke on them and started running a scientific test on them and shit. And they brought them all to the same place and had them all be nuts with each other. And I swear to God, that should be illegal, kind of. It's insane. It's like, okay, so if you've got some kind of pattern syndrome where the fucking guy thinks that he's Jesus, you don't connect him with 2 other nutballs who think they're Jesus. Because that's it's like tripling the force of the power of the false Jesus or whatever. B, they really shouldn't be around each other if they share the same affliction, maybe. Because I swear to God, if there was somebody who was going to enable you, like, okay, if you're a drug addict and you don't want to relapse, the worst people that you could ever go around is drug addicts that want you to relapse. It is the same thing with this stuff. If you're a drug addict who believes that you're Jesus or whatever, you're addicted to this idea that that you're Jesus. The last people that you should ever be around is other egomaniacal people who think that they're God or Jesus. Because then what would stop you from just embracing the entire Delulu? And I find it, frankly, also something I doubt he says it the entire video, but I have some serious moral reservation with the fucking hospital itself. Because, I mean, you don't want to put these people together. You don't want them feeding each other's fucking paranoid delusions. Like, it's like the lunatics took over the asylum. They're here for a bit. It's insane.
Enjoyed it. But other than that, the total net progress, and this is getting into April, so the experiment's been going on for nearly a year now. The total net progress is still 0. Sure, they've come up at some times, but they've dropped just as far. So because not a lot of progress had been made, and, you know, studies can't fund themselves forever, and I truly believe Rockage was really determined to help these men. The team made a decision that is questionable, or I would say outright not cool nowadays. Questionable in 1960. So remember that whole thing I talked about earlier about how the problem with paranoid schizophrenics is they have primitive beliefs, but they won't allow any outside stimuli to change those beliefs. Primitive beliefs are often changed by a trusted authority figure, and paranoid schizophrenics tend to not have those. But that's not entirely true, is it? Because each of the 3 men, well, not so much Clyde, but Joseph and Leon, have mentioned positive authority figures. For Joseph, it was the superintendent, Dr. Yoder, who he referred to as Dad. And for Leon, though the moniker had changed a couple times, it was figures like his uncle, the Archangel, or his Yeti wife mother. I mean, Leon had changed his name at the influence of his Yeti wife mother, according to him. But obviously, these figures are fictional, or in Joseph's case, his relationship with the figure is fictional. But what if they weren't? What if the researchers conducting the experiment pretended to be these positive authority figures in order to elicit a change from the men? Now, if you have a base understanding of psychology as it relates to mental illness, you probably know that it is not advised to go along with someone's delusions, because reality must stay consistent if you are going to eventually bring people back to it. If reality and delusion overlap, then the line becomes blurred and there's no shore for them to swim back to. And on top of that, you have absolutely no idea how they'll respond. I mean, for some people, their brain could be in such a tedious chemical balance that if you introduce something that their mind is trying to convince itself is real and the thing turns out to actually be real, they could have a break. All of the things that have happened in the study up until this point, I think, are completely understandable. The idea of getting them to talk to each other isn't harsh, and even the idea of confronting them about identity is kind of like exposure therapy. But feeding into someone's fictional delusions to try to change their perspective and beliefs from the inside is certainly a lot. And while I do not think that what they did is okay, especially from the results we'll see, there are a couple of points of defense for this that I think are valid. The main one being, this is 1960. The kind of things Rockage is talking about is nearly completely untapped ground. I mean, one of the reasons we know now to not feed into someone's psychosis is, spoilers, because of the results of this study. And logically, the idea makes sense. The reason you can't feed these guys new information is because there's not anyone inside they're willing to hear that information from. So hypothetically, if you become someone who they do allow in, even if that person is fictional, then almost like a placebo, they can fix themselves through their own will, even if they don't realize they're the ones doing it. And I think the other thing to consider is every step of the way, Rockage emphasized that he wanted to help these guys by whatever means possible. He was frustrated with the study up until this point, not because they didn't get any crazy results, but because the guys hadn't gotten better. I mean, not that it justifies it, but when compared to other treatments for schizophrenics at the time, it was hardly the worst of the bunch. It is hard for me to blame Rockage too hard, knowing he didn't have the insight into mental illness that we have now. So the plan was, a series of letters would be drafted from these pseudo-authority figures, or non-existent authority figures, and they would be delivered to the men, initially just to establish correspondence, but then to try to get them to change things about their daily routine, with the eventual goal of having them change their beliefs around reality. Before Rockage goes into detail about how the letter phase of the experiment went, he outlines his concerns in this paragraph. Obviously, serious ethical issues were involved. These issues are highly complex, and we can only comment on the considerations which guided us in employing these procedures. It should first be reiterated that it was on ethical grounds that we turned away from the study of identity in normal children to work instead with psychotic subjects. Such people, we hoped there might be, therapeutically, little to lose and hopefully a good deal to gain. Second, we always proceeded cautiously with the men, assessed their emotional reactions at every step, and were ever ready to back off if we thought it was advisable. Third, we always consulted the psychiatric staff at Ypsilanti State Hospital, particularly Yoder, before embarking on a new experimental procedure, thus obtaining independent checks on our ethical judgment. Fourth, the three men continued eagerly to attend our meetings despite the procedures employed. Had they refused to deal with one another or with us, that would have been the end of it. When Joseph, for example, objected to working in the vegetable room with Leon and Clyde, we changed his work assignment. Fifth, as we got to know the three men better, we were impressed by the fact that their defenses were powerful enough to counter any threat they could not cope with on a realistic level. Sixth, we were cognizant of Frieda from Reichmann's observation, quote, "We no longer treat the patients with the utter caution of bygone days. They are sensitive, but not frail." Finally, the messages we were going to send Leon and Joseph from their delusional referents were to be composed in such a way as to be supportive and emotionally gratifying. Above all, they must contain suggestions designed to ameliorate the men's unhappy condition. So, with that established, how'd it go? So first of all, let's talk about the one that the letters had the least effect on, Clyde. See, Clyde didn't really have an authority referent. Like, all the people Clyde described specifically seemed to be real. Most of his delusions were around his own grandiosity, saying that he owned all this land and women. It's not like he had these fictional characters that he would carry on conversations with. The best they could figure was Clyde had mentioned Dr. Yoder, the superintendent, in a positive light as well. So they sent him a letter that was addressed from the superintendent, Dr. Yoder, with some money to spend at the common store. And it seems that Clyde took the money and never wrote back. So for the duration of this experiment, they just quit trying with Clyde, and he just chilled out at the group meetings while Joseph and Leon went through everything they were about to go through. Also goes without saying, all of the letters were actually being written by Rokeach, with the superintendent's permission to address them as being from him. Let's now move on to the second most affected by the study.
Sometimes it's good to just
Joseph
not
got
be
his initial letter from Dr. Yoder
involved.
Static. He began to write back to him almost immediately and referred to him as Dad, saying his normal stuff about how he hopes England comes for him and asked Dr. Yoder to deport him
England
back
comes
to England.
for me.
He also remarked several times that the hospital is in fact an English stronghold. Another thing to mention about Joseph,
I'm gonna go sell half my wins.
Hypochondriac. He didn't like working in close proximity to other people because he was afraid he'd catch whatever illness they had. And also see the case of him thinking he's having chest pain, so he rubs bleach on himself. So in Dr. Yoder's letters, he says he's happy to hear that Joseph is doing better, that he feels better throughout the day, and that Rokeach has told Dr. Yoder that Joseph has a remarkable hand for writing. Joseph responds saying that if Dr. Yoder could help him get a job, that would be great. He could do something like be a janitor, or he could work as an assistant. But if he needs a writer, he's really good at writing, so he'll do that. So Dr. Yoder encourages him to write something. He says, write a short story or a poem or something about yourself, and they'll send it to a local newspaper or magazine to see if it can get published. And immediately on this suggestion, Joseph gets cold feet. Rokeach mentioned it earlier in the book, but back when they were putting together the parade float, he realized that Joseph has an intense phobia of failure. He was excited about the parade float at first, but then when realized he was given responsibility on something that he would have to see through to make sure it turned out well, he withdrew from it enough that Leon just did everything, which Leon wanted to do in the first place. So even though he asked Dr. Yoder, someone he refers to as Dad, for a job, and now he thinks Dr. Yoder is like, sure, go ahead, he backs out. He responds to Dr. Yoder and says, well, I need more office space, and I need a secretary, and I need a typewriter. And Dr. Yoder writes back and says he can get him a typewriter, but as for the rest of it, anyone can just start writing, so he should just start writing. Joseph suggests instead, what if Dr. Yoder just publishes the letters he's already written to Dr. Yoder? He's sure people will like that. Then Dr. Yoder gets specific. He says, why don't you write about the psychology of identity? That would be interesting. To which Joseph remarks they should get a better writer to do that. There's a bunch of writers who are better writing about that sort of thing, so he should tell one of them to go do it. Quite a stark contrast from a man who previously claimed to be God, and also every famous writer ever. After Yoder continues to push him on it, he does something that no one expected, and instead makes his next letter not to Dr. Yoder, but instead to President John F. Kennedy. My dear President Kennedy, you may wonder for my sending this letter to you, but I am God, and but I am God, and I remember you as an old friend of mine. You, as President of the U.S., have already done much work for the benefit of the country. In my engineering, I knew that you would become President of the U.S.
Oh, JFK.
Therefore, I engineered to this effect. And I thank
love you.
for your having done so well. I cannot praise you enough for your work.
Jax.
But what I wish to write at this moment is that I am stranded here in the hospital, and I wish I could be released. Could you do something for me? And could you give me a job in Washington? I could be a good advisor. I understand science, politics, sociology, civics, economics, law, etc. I'm sure you could affect my dismal from your institution. How gleeful I would be to be your advisor. Just write to Dr. Yoder, who is the medical superintendent of Ypsilanti State Hospital, Ypsilanti, Michigan, U.S., and by telling him that you need me as your advisor and that you'd like my release, I'm sure that Dr. Yoder would oblige. P.S. Any kind of job would do in Washington, even floor cleaning and mopping for me. I have nothing here. I am without everything. The English are the head of the caw of the world, and how they take care of it.
God.
And am I glad I am English? If I could only go
You're
back
American,
to England,
you
but the doctor
jackass.
who is head of the hospital claims I cannot go back to England. What am I to do now, Mr. President? If you want a good writer with you, I'm the one. I can write. Hire me as a writer for you or for the government, and you will never be sorry. You will be sure of me as a sober, assiduous worker. And all day I hear voices that you are my dad, my father. So please do something for me. And as
You're
you are
my
my
dad,
father,
my father.
I certainly am well enough to be released by your order and taken to the White House. Can you send some of your men to take me to the White House? Please, Father, do it. And I'll be a devoted worker for you. I will live and conduct myself as God ought to. As your son, I certainly deserve a job in the government. Now you have replaced Eisenhower. As for Eisenhower, it was he also who brought me to the hospital, so I could get my godliness from Nixon. Well, I was then vice president of the U.S., but I was replaced by Nixon. If some of the writings are illogical, it's because some of the happenings took place in the world which I am talking about. I guess I have written enough, so long, Dad. And don't forget your old
So
pal,
long, Dad.
God. And nobody else is to be picked
Bye,
up in my place.
God.
Just me. I mean, there may be a fellow in the hospital who might want to be picked up in my place. Please give order not to pick him up. His name is R.I. Dung, and he is a patient here in D16. So it seems that Joseph had the idea in his head of Dr. Yoder being this father figure, kind of this mythical point, the most powerful person he could reach that he had a personal relationship with. But once he started getting those letters and that point became reachable, as far as he knew, the anxiety of actually being put in that position of writing something for Dr. Yoder was too much. So instead, he picks the next guy up the food chain, which is, I guess, the President of the United States. One positive effect that these letters had is it made Joseph write to people a lot more. He started writing to his wife, he started writing to his dad back in Canada. He even just started writing things like Christmas and Easter cards for family members. He even wrote a letter to his wife saying he thinks the president's going to get him out of there. So with the writing thing,
The president's going to get me out of here.
Strategy. He now writes letters to Joseph in order to combat his hypochondria. A bit earlier in the study, the three men were moved to a different ward where they'd be more secluded and near each other. And when that happened, Joseph's job switched from the laundry to working in a vegetable room. He complained about working in the vegetable room, saying that it was causing pains in his stomach. So to combat this, Rocky writes a letter from Dr. Yoder saying that Joseph is going to receive a brand new experimental drug that should take away all his ailments. Joseph takes them for a while and says that he feels remarkably better. Of course, this drug is in reality just a placebo. After he takes them for a couple weeks, Dr. Yoder no longer supplies the placebo, and Joseph became so annoying to the staff asking for it and wrote so many letters to Yoder that they started the placebo again. For several weeks, Joseph reported feeling no pain. However, he eventually started to feel that pain in his stomach again that he felt from the vegetable room. There have been multiple instances in the past of Joseph saying he feels pain, he gets a medical examination, and everything's fine. But this time, since the placebo was working and whatever this pain was seemed to be piercing through it, Rocky had a full x-ray done, and it turns out that Joseph had an ulcer. A pretty severe one. So they put him on treatment for that, and the ulcer went away, and after that, Joseph said that all of his pain was gone, leaving most of it to be from the placebo. This is actually one of the most fascinating findings from the whole study. See, it was previously believed that the only reason placebos work is because they come from like trusted healthcare officials, right? You think that the drug is something that someone who wants you to get better would give you. But for a long time, it was believed that people with paranoid schizophrenia would be unaffected by placebos, especially because in cases like that of Joseph, he's constantly paranoid about getting an illness. But it seems here, since it was from an authority figure he trusted, the placebo worked at suppressing real pain. Although not the main purpose of the study, it was an interesting finding. So, since Joseph seemed to trust Dr. Yoder, that it was now time to incorporate their end goal. In addition to the placebo, Dr. Yoder said that he would now be receiving an additional drug to help clear his mind. Joseph takes it with enthusiasm and says he's feeling a lot more clear in his head throughout the day. In the midst of this, there were also smaller asks thrown in, like Dr. Yoder asked if they could change the song they start their meetings with from America. And sure enough, every time that's Joseph's turn to be chairman, they changed the song. Rockich also timed the delivery of these letters so that they coincided with the meetings, because most of the time, Joseph was so excited he would tear open the letter and read it aloud to the group, which allowed Rockich to see his reaction as it happened. And most of the time, Joseph is enthused to get word back from Dr. Yoder, who again he refers to in letters as Dad, and Dr. Yoder has begun to refer to him as someone he loves like a son. Is it kind of cruel to take someone who's mentally ill and convince them they have a relationship with someone they don't actually have a relationship with? You should see what they do to Leon. After Joseph takes the second set of placebo pills for a while, Dr. Yoder begins to press. He says in one of the earlier letters, Joseph stated that the hospital was ran and funded by England and was an English stronghold. He tries to confirm with Joseph that it is in fact not an English stronghold, and he wants Joseph to know that. As Joseph reads these letters during meetings, he says it's ridiculous that Dr. Yoder doesn't know this place is an English stronghold.
30K, worth the kingdom.
Letters, Dr. Yoder continues to emphasize that this place is not owned and never has been owned by England. To which in his responsive, Joseph says that he appreciates the doctor, but that this place is in fact an English stronghold. The most he is willing to concede is that it is in America and perhaps funded by the state of Michigan, but it is still an English stronghold. So Dr. Yoder says if the pills aren't working and he still believes this place to be an English stronghold, they're going to have to stop his prescription. At this, Joseph becomes erratic. He starts writing letters that are 20, 30 pages long twice a day. In them, he is pleading for the doctor to not stop the pills because they make him feel better. Eventually, Yoder says the prescription will stop next week unless you can send me a signature stating that this place is not, nor ever has been, an English stronghold or funded by England. Joseph reads this letter in a meeting and says that he just can't do it because it's a lie. An interesting point that Rockich makes is that people with paranoid schizophrenia, at least in cases like Joseph's, are unable to lie about their own delusions. It's as if the fabric of their brain is trying so hard to convince them to believe in a lie, one that goes against the reality around them, that to lie about that lie would be a betrayal of the self. Whereas you or I could lie about something, I could lie and say my name's Alex, and that doesn't cause me a mental decline. That's because our true belief, my knowledge that my name is actually Isaiah, is so rooted in reality that you can't take it from me. I can lie about it and it doesn't hurt. Whereas if the lie goes against something, even if subconsciously I have worked so hard to convince myself exists, and there is no outside evidence that it exists, then to lie would be to portray the only evidence it has of existing, calling everything around it and my identity into question. In the meeting, Rockich urges Joseph, just lie. Who cares if you believe it or not? If you want the pill, just sign off and send it back. Because Rockich is hoping maybe even just lying about the lie could lead to a breakthrough. In one of Joseph's final letters to Dr. Yoder, he says, "My dear Dad, I was hopeful that I would partake of the medicine in question for a longer time, but since you have decided otherwise, I simply have to do without the medicine. As you are the head doctor of this hospital, your saying for the discontinuance of the medicine is so valid that I am now helpless to do anything. In other words, I have to do without. Yours very truly, Joseph Cassell." From there, his letters to Dr. Yoder seemed to taper off. He was also writing extensively longer reports about the weekend meetings that they would have or just other things happening at the hospital than he was before the letters began. It was not uncommon for these to be 40 pages long, just kind of describing nothing, or if he passively mentioned a book, he would spend several pages describing a summary of that book. And in them, it seems that he was being confronted too much. The potential job that he let go because he was afraid of failure and no longer getting the placebo that he wanted, feeling that he had failed Yoder, weighed on him. And in these reports, he seems to retreat into his delusions, remarking that several of the books he is talking about were written by him, God. In one of his final entries, he says, "We, the workers for the world, will keep on going. One beautiful day, there will not be an enemy left. This beautiful day will never come soon enough. See you in the next report. So long. I feel much better. Thank you." He even remarked to Rockich one day that no one's going to read these. I certainly understand what the researchers were going for and trying to give him an authority figure that could legitimately help him. But it seems what it did in reality was stress him out and call him to fall to the occasion. But let's talk about the person that these letters affected far more than anyone else, as you could probably guess, Leon. The first letter that is sent to Leon is addressed from Madam Dr. R.I. Dung, and it tells him to meet her outside Thursday at 1 o'clock. He He's asked about this letter at the meeting. Of course, Rockich doesn't imply he knows what's in the letter, just that he heard Leon received a letter. And Leon says it's from someone claiming to be his wife, but that simply can't be. He's never seen her handwriting before, but he knows that's not it. Again, it's like the pieces in his brain are separating the reality from the fiction, but now they're starting to collide on each other. Heartbreakingly, on August 4th, this is the day Leon's wife is supposed to visit him, he goes outdoors shortly before the appointed hour and does not return until it is well past. He doesn't believe it was his fictional wife, or at least he won't say that he believes it is, that he went outside anyway. Initially, his reaction to this was to be kind of depressed. He seemed more hostile to the female staff, and in meetings, he was just kind of quiet. During an upcoming meeting, Leon gets a phone call. It's a female researcher on the other side of the phone pretending to be Leon's wife. You can already see how this is kind of sketchy. It seems that this wife on the other end of the phone asked him to meet her outside, and sure enough, that evening, he goes outside until the appointment is passed, and then comes back in. I mean, gosh, it's so cruel. I understand that they're doing it to prove that he has a reliability, he will follow the actions that his wife wants him to, but to give him an appointment and she not be there, like, come on. You could have come up with anything else. They do in a minute, but I think about him standing outside, waiting on her to show up. It's so sad. It's like the outward part where he speaks to other people. Like when he came back from the phone call, he sat down at the meeting and said, I don't know if that was my wife or not. We'll get it straightened out. It's like part of his brain knows it's not real, but the other part wants it to be so bad. One day, Leon walks up to one of the aides and informs them that his wife's maiden name is Ruth. This comes from an earlier account when he was talking about his Yeti wife mother and said that her other name is Ruth of Boaz, a character from the Bible. Well, she's Ruth in the Bible who is married to Boaz, not Ruth of Boaz, unless his wife is also Boaz's wife. He also doesn't pronounce it Boaz, he pronounces it Booze, so Ruth of Booze. In the meetings that followed, Leon tries to reconcile this incorrection. He says that he got the Thursday wrong. He showed up on Thursday one week when it was supposed to be the next week, meaning this is really his wife on the other end of the phone and the letters, and he is happy that she is interested in him. Leon gets another letter from his wife, now addressed from Madam Yeti Woman. The letter says she was happy to speak to him over the phone and that she has given him a cigarette holder. Leon says that he is upset with her that she won't just come see him, so he throws the cigarette holder away, although later he fishes it out of the trash can. After the first letter, he said he didn't believe it came from his wife and told the aide that that letter wasn't from his wife and that the aide is trying to dupe him. But then after the cigarette holder, he goes back to that aide and apologizes, saying that that was in fact his wife. It seems that the illusion, the fake Madam Yeti Woman wife, is taking hold in his mind. He says that he saw his wife on hospital grounds but couldn't speak to her because of interference, and then accuses Rockich of causing the interference that doesn't allow them to speak, ironically. Leon goes on to say that he was killed on the day he received the phone call, but has now been given a merciful gift, a new body. Leon talks a lot about death and rebirth, dying to death and then reincarnating. At one point during this, Joseph remarks, if he says he's got a wife, he's got a wife. He receives yet another letter from Madam Yeti Woman, telling him to come to the general store to meet her. After reading the letter, Leon tears it up, seemingly in excitement, and then at the meeting says that he's going to take a bath so that if he kisses his wife, she won't fall over. That evening he takes a shower and says he's going to see his wife at the store. He goes to the store, and of course, when she doesn't arrive at the time she said she would, he asks an aide where the employee cafeteria is, picking seemingly another random location, and when the aide tells him, he goes, oh, I'm in the wrong building. That's what it is. When in fact he was not in the wrong building, but there needs to be some kind of explanation for the illusion to continue. It's tragic how much his mind works against itself. On September 9th, when asked what's new shortly after the last letter, Leon says, I know who God Almighty is in human shape. God Almighty is a woman in human shape, and she is my wife. Now we see here that the psychosis is evolving. His ideas are changing shape to match with new information, something that throughout the experiment Leon's been good at. I'm sure he would still think of himself as Jesus Christ, but he now sees this wife of his as God, or at least God along with himself. When asked if he could introduce her to everyone, Leon says, I'm sure you've seen her face. I know that those who sincerely call on her see the face of a woman peer out of a cloud. It was during this conversation that something interesting came up. So Leon had been working on this autobiography called Cause and Evolution. It was mostly just an account of Leon's day-to-day life. Well, somehow Rockage came across a few pages of it in which Leon said something interesting. Leon says at one point he believed himself to be, as he described it, a morphodite. Morphodite being his word for what was at the time called a hermaphrodite, or as we would call it now, intersex. From his writing, it seemed that Leon believed he had both male genitalia as well as female genitalia inside of him, or at least he believed that for a time. He later goes on to say that when he says the vine and the rock, which he's used to describe himself multiple times, he means to say the vine, male genitalia, the rock, female genitalia. So this leads Rockage to believe that perhaps a lot of Leon's mental and sexual frustrations and issues could come from a gender crisis. So while describing his wife, Almighty God Yeti Woman, who it seems Leon is attributing some of his own characteristics onto, Rockage asks, is your wife a hermaphrodite or intersex? Leon responds, morphodite, a person with bisexual organs? And Rockage says, yes. Is this possible? Leon continues, I don't care for the word hermaphrodite because of the her, which would split a testicle sac. Since I corrected it, the female part has gone away. However, I never used it as
idiots.
such. Therefore,
They're so funny in their deeper
beliefs. And says, it comes to me that
idiots
God
are funny.
may be a morphodite. Now, you could see this as perhaps a breakthrough of the
I view it
person or
as
his
an
wife
idiot
that he's conjured up in his mind that has characteristics of himself, and he's able to talk about that figure in his mind that relates to himself. Or, also possible, he did not have that idea before Rockage introduced it. Not about himself. It seems he had those before from his writings, but about Almighty God Yeti Woman. So now Rockage is manipulating, further than he is with the letters, manipulating the image of his wife in his mind. As they're discussing this, an aide comes in with another letter from his wife. Something else to mention about Leon is that he does not like money and never uses it. Since he has been in the hospital, he has not touched his bank account, which compared to the other patients is really big. Because all of his money from the VA, if you'll remember he was in World War II, gets deposited into his hospital account. But he has stated multiple times he does not like money. He is given free food that he works for with his job at the hospital, and he bums cigarette, paper, and tobacco off other people. He stated multiple times in their conversations that he doesn't want to touch money. Money causes evil. It causes your heart to go after it, and there's better things to put your heart on. When the aide walks in with the letter, Leon says, oh, was she a woman about 5'5", blue eyes, longish nose? The aide says yes, and Leon says, thank you. That's God. He opened the letter and began to read silently. Rockage asked what it said. Of course, Rockage knew as he wrote it. Leon reads aloud. My dear husband, I am happy to be able to say that I can send you at this time the enclosed $1. I expect you to use this to buy yourself refreshments and a ballpoint pen for your use today. Sincerely yours, Madam Yeti Woman. Leon remarks that money is a means to an end, and he pulls out the $1 bill. Leon was now gazing at the dollar bill that had been enclosed in his letter with an intensity of expression which puzzled me. What are you looking at? Suddenly I realized that he was really doing something I had not expected to witness. He was struggling to hold back his tears. With this much effort, he would surely succeed, but he did not. 2 tiny droplets formed in the corner of his eyes, and ever so slowly they grew slightly larger. There they remained for a moment or two until they squeezed themselves out as if off their own accord, despite Leon's struggle. I watched their slow descent down his face. The move this aroused soon gave way to another. As the 2 tiny droplets approached the halfway mark down his cheeks, Leon neatly scooped them up with his index finger, first one, then the other, and sucked them into his mouth. What are you doing? Tears are the best antiseptic there is, said Leon. There's no use wasting tears. He began to examine the dollar bill, turning it over from one side to the other. I haven't seen one of these.
Tears are the greatest
years.
antiseptic. You mean salt
to
water?
He read the name of the treasurer of the United States and the serial number. Does the letter make you happy or sad? I feel somewhat glad. Is there something the matter with your eyes? Oh, they're smarting, sir. So, I'm enjoying some disinfectant, sir. Best in the world. Tears. Are you crying? No, my eyes are smarting because of some condition. You say you feel somewhat happy? Yes, sir. It's a pleasant feeling. It's a pleasant feeling to have someone think of you.
Aww. Aww.
That poor person. Man. Leon's life was full of
Aww, there it is.
just misery at every point.
Yeah,
Yep.
yeah, me too.
And have a father. His
Not
mother
at every point, no, but you know,
was awful to him. That awfulness spread, the
not too
disease
good.
passed on. Every day had to be such a struggle. His
Yeah,
brain is constantly trying to convince him that he's someone
every
else,
day
that
must have been
everything that's
such a
happening
struggle.
around him isn't what it is, that there's some grander world that he gets to be God, that he doesn't have to put up with this.
I'm gonna quote
There's
him
a
in a
verse in the
song.
Bible in Matthew 25 when Jesus, funny enough, is describing what Judgment Day, what it will be like when, you know, all the Christians, those that have done good on earth, are called up to heaven. And it says that God to convince him that he's someone else. It's a pleasant feeling. It's a pleasant feeling to have someone think of you. That poor person, man. Leon's life was full of just misery at every point. He didn't have a father. His mother was awful to him.
A
That
life
awfulness
full of
spread, the
misery at
disease
every
passed
point
on.
was actually such a
Every
beautiful
day
turn of
had to be
phrase.
such a struggle. His brain is constantly trying to convince him that he's someone else, that everything that's happening around him isn't what it is, that there's some grander world, that he gets to be God, that he doesn't have to put up with this. There's a verse in the Bible in Matthew 25 when Jesus, funny enough, is describing what Judgment Day, what it will be like when, you know, all the Christians, those that have done good on earth, are called up to heaven. And it says that God will look on those that were faithful and praise them and say, when I was hungry, you fed me. When I was naked, you clothed me. When I was in prison, you visited me. And says the saints will respond to him and say, Lord, what are you talking about? We never saw you naked. We never saw you hungry or mad or out of your mind. What do you mean? And God replies and says, that which ye have done to the least of these, ye have done unto me. That $1 bill may have been one of the only non-circumstantial acts of kindness Leon might have ever received. It wasn't someone doing their job. It wasn't someone who was paid to take care of him. It was someone that he thought of him. It sent him $1. And despite all of his confusion, despite all the tricks his mind played on him, that got through. That meant something. You know, it's funny, I didn't think about that till just now. That verse in the Bible, it talks about how we treat, you know, the least of these, the people who need it the most, is how we treat God, right? And now we have 3 guys at a psychiatric hospital in Michigan who each claim themselves to be God. Why should we treat them with compassion as if they were anything else? In a moment of kindness after this, Clyde had previously remarked that he likes Leon's pin that's broken and taped at the middle. So Leon says he's going to buy a new one with the $1 his wife gave him and hands his busted pin to Clyde, before he immediately takes the pin back, saying he still needs it until he buys the new one. Leon begins to walk around outside more. He seems more active and happy for a while. One day, he's spotted kneeling outside of the church or the chapel that he's never been in before. He tries to go in, but the doors are locked. Sure enough, Leon goes to the store that he's never been in before, buys a ginger ale and a ballpoint pen, and then gives his old one to Clyde. Similarly to how they did Joseph, in the next letter from Maddie Yeti Woman, they ask Leon to change the starting song to Onward Christian Soldiers. He says after he went to the store and bought cigarette paper and tobacco, he took the remaining change and left it in front of the Jewish, Catholic, and Protestant chapels. Joseph remarks one day that he doesn't think Leon has a wife, and Leon says that my wife is within me. She's also my father and mother. Similar to Joseph with Dr. Yoder's request, when it is Leon's turn to be chairman, they sing Onward Christian Soldier. A couple letters come from his wife telling him to go to the store, buy specific brands of tobacco to give the remaining change to Clyde and Joseph, to which he does. Again, the end goal in this is to have a positive influence, try to get Leon to fix his mental state from within. And Rockage summarizes a series of things Leon has done that he never did before the letter. He had gone to the store, to the chapel, and to the library, 3 places he had not visited before. He had accepted money, handled it, and carried it around with him, something he had not done before. He had cried. He had spent money on himself. He had given money to Clyde and Joseph. He had changed the song used to open and close the meetings. All these changes were potentially of great therapeutic value. Leon had varied and broadened the range of his behavior. He had allowed himself to feel, to express, for once, a human emotion. His fierce need to punish himself had let up sufficiently to permit him to enjoy a few small pleasures which money could buy. And Leon had been charitable. He had shared his money with 2 other persons in need. Now, amidst all this is his normal babble, now just applied to his Yeti wife. Things like having cosmic intercourse and trying to understand intimacy and, the usual. There was one interesting point that Leon made in the midst of this when he said he has discovered that God has both positive and negative influences, meaning that this figure of God or his wife within his mind is not infallible. So the next thing they try to get Leon to do that potentially would push him in the right direction is to change his name from Dung. So they come up with another name. Perhaps he could call himself Domino or go back to Rex, but Madame Yeti prefers Domino. Leon does nothing with this information. Doesn't make any express purpose to change his name. We don't know how he reacted to that specific part. Another letter comes giving him money, telling him to go to the store, and he does that. However, on September 28th, Leon receives another letter. He takes the letter, feels the coins inside, and hands it back to the aide. The aide tries to deliver it later, and the same thing happens. He writes a letter to one of the doctors in the ward and says, "Please return these 3 dimes to Madame Yeti Woman. I know you know who she is. Tell her I do not want any more donations or letters. Tell her I trust in the sanity of God, the 10 Commandments of God. Respectfully, Dr. R.I. Dung." It seems that one of Leon's core beliefs was money bad. So initially he was so ecstatic over his wife sending him money that he put that to the side, but now he can't let that go by. So any money his wife or God sends him is the insanity of God rather than the sanity of God. Again, positive and negative now. Leon comes to the meeting on September 29th, neatly shaved. An aide brings him a letter, but Leon says he's not reading it. Leon says that letter is a fake written by Dr. Broadhurst. Rockage takes a look at the letter and says that this isn't Broadhurst's signature, but Leon is sure of it. In talking with Leon alone after the meeting, Leon says that Madame Yeti Woman is using his VA funds in his bank account to send this money and he won't have it. He says, "I don't care for the insanity of God. I can't divorce her. She's with me all the time, cosmically." He also adds that God is using Dr. Broadhurst's body and thus tempting him into adultery. It should be noted that Dr. Broadhurst was an attractive young woman, so perhaps the introduction of her into the scenario and the feelings he had towards her made him think in his mind, "Oh, I have attraction."
Sorry guys, piece of shit cocksucker fucking Windows turned my microphone down against my fucking will. Piece of shit fucking cocksucker software developers.
Of God. So it seems that now the
I catch it doing this all the time
Yeti
too.
Woman has been running
all
to the
the
dirt.
time.
Leon no longer trusts it and thinks that it is evil. So they figure, well, there's one more positive authority figure, his uncle, who he believes to be the Archangel Michael. So that evening they have a phone call waiting for him that is supposedly from his uncle. The uncle, who's actually a research assistant talking on the other end, goes on to say that he's been in touch with Madame Dung and that they are both working for his redemption and that Leon must not say that Madame Dung, who is also God, is insane or negative. Leon listens, apparently with much interest, then suddenly he interrupts, "Sir, excuse me, sir, your voice doesn't sound like my uncle. Goodbye, sir," and hangs up and returns to the sitting room. So now it seems that Leon is not trusting anyone who claims to be an authority or a positive presence in his life, even if it's someone he came up with. It seems they have effectively locked him down. In a last-ditch effort to help Leon, they move to a new strategy. It seems that a lot of Leon's problems come from the influence his mother had in his life. So perhaps a positive female influence could make a difference. So they swap out one of the research assistants who have been around during the meetings with a new one, Miss Anderson. Immediately, Leon seems to take, as he becomes infatuated with Miss Anderson. Right after meeting her, while in his room, he asks to speak to the head nurse. Nervously, he tells the head nurse that he has had a wife that is God, that is astrally projected to him, and they have intercourse, and he now believes that God is possessing her. And then midway through, the nurse figures out where this is going and says, "Leon, we can't have relations with each other." And immediately Leon goes, "Okay, thank you, bye," and asks her to leave. It's almost as if Within Leon's mind, similar to how when he was married to the Virgin Mary earlier, he couldn't just abandon her from his thought process. He had to invent a light brother, and then the light brother had to take the Virgin Mary away. Similarly, he's currently married to the God Yeti woman. And as mentioned, she's with him all the time. He can't divorce her. But now, in saying that she is within the nerves and her rejecting him coming on to her, that seems to be grounds enough for him to divorce her from his mind, meaning he can now pursue Miss Anderson, which he does right away. He begins to write her a bunch of letters talking about all of his proclivities that I've mentioned before. He says now that his wife is a bisexual creature variously called Ruth, God, and Lourdes. Right now he's Lord, potential Lourdes. Then begins to say he's married to Grand Morphe, short for Morphodite, or Grand Morphe Anderson, because he just starts flat out calling Anderson that, or GM Anderson for short, and just projects his feelings onto her. She's of course part of the study and his understanding of this. He begins to reverence her as a sort of deity. After every meeting, he would ask to stick around and talk with her. Initially, Rockich would set in on these, but that would annoy Leon, so eventually Rockich got the hint and left. A lot of their conversations, while doused in his sexual proclivities, are adorably juvenile. A lot of talk of, oh, when a guy likes a girl, and what's attraction like, what's kissing like. She makes it very clear she cannot have relations with him, but he just likes to talk about it with her. Multiple times he would sit there in silence and then say, I can't think of anything else to say, I guess I have to go. He would do everything he could to make these conversations with her last longer. However, because she's around, Leon begins doing odd things. For example, some days he'll be super lovey-dovey, he'll bring her pins, he'll let her have a cigarette, something he doesn't do with anyone else. Then if she's gone over the weekend or has somewhere else to be, for the next several days that she's back, he will be pouty. He'll be cold, he'll swear a lot, he'll storm out of the room as soon as the meeting's over. It's like he feels personally betrayed that she wasn't with him. At one point, while talking, he drops to his knees and begins to call her God and worship her, and then says, okay, see you next meeting. He also goes back and forth from wanting to be attracted to her to feeling like he needs to deny these attractions. For a few weeks, he would wear cellophane, like a blindfold, around his eyes everywhere he went. And then when that wasn't enough, he switched over to red cellophane because it's darker, and then put blinders on the side of his head like a horse. It seems his purpose in this was to not observe Miss Anderson so he would not have feelings of lust. It's also because of these conflicting emotions and all the things that were happening in his head at the time, between the letters he got to now denying himself and then throwing himself into Miss Anderson, that all of his internal concepts got really messy. For while he said he discovered the femality, or the female counterpart within himself, and that he had become pregnant with himself and was pregnant with twins, but then shortly afterwards, because the twins were morphodites, as he called them, they miscarried. The breaking point came when Anderson took a week off for vacation, and when she came back, he wanted nothing to do with her. When she asked why he wouldn't stick around for their private meetings, he said that he would not commit adultery. And from there, he seemed completely done with her, but not only done with her, now he was married to the female counterpart of himself. So now even the fictitious people he had created that were members of his life were all gone, and he had withered that down to just different versions of himself. So not only did this phase of the experiment not cure Leon, but it caused him to become more withdrawn. The previous joy he had from just being near Clyde and Joseph gave way to constantly more complicated delusions. Eventually, he became disagreeable to even them, and it seemed for Leon, all this phase did was push him further from recovery. With the group already shaky about what they had done with the letters and the fake authority figure thing, and the fact that this had now been going on about 2 years, they decided to call the study quits, ending it on August 15th, 1961. It seems from this last stage of the experiment, Leon got worse, Joseph became more depressive, but Clyde was Clyde. In the analysis at the end, Rockich talks about a lot of the different outcomes from different phases of the experiment. Things about how Clyde operated with denial, how Leon was the most high-functioning when it came to conversation or making sense of his world, at least initially. But as you can see, it's not like any of them were cured. The positive note that the analysis ends on is, we have learned that even when a summit of 3 is composed of paranoid men deadlocked over the ultimate in human contradiction, they prefer to seek ways to live with one another in peace rather than destroy one another, which is nice, I suppose. There was a lot of really valuable things that were discovered in this study. A lot of the ways the men would react to new information, or they would argue with each other, was very crucial in future understandings of schizophrenia. But as far as the three men themselves, not much is known beyond Rockeich's epilogue at the end of the study. Rockeich says, "The story of the three Christ of Ypsilanti cannot, of course, be finally told as long as they remain living men. Still, a few things can be said that go beyond the account related here." In other words, because each of the three men are under a pseudonym until they're dead, Rockeich can't go into full detail about where they are, how they're doing. What he does say is, after Clyde and Joseph and Leon were left to themselves again in August of 1961, they continued to be seen together in their sitting room in combinations of 2 or 3, but they no longer held daily meetings, and Leon soon reverted to eating alone. Nevertheless, a strange sort of cohesiveness continued to persist among them, not unlike the cohesiveness of a conflict-ridden family, which the individual members, while withdrawing into themselves, carefully avoid breaking the final strands of human interdependency. Rockeich goes to outline a lot of problems with the setup of the experiment itself. Of course, 3 is an incredibly small sample size, and there were so many variations in the way these men came about their illness and the different ages and how long they had been institutionalized, that not a lot cohesively can be said about the methods, just simply an observation from the case. They also had a control group. They had taken 3 women from Ypsilanti who believed themselves to be different identities, but they each believed they were like 3 different people, and they would have meetings with them, but they would never confront them on identity, which wouldn't have mattered because they each thought they were someone else. And they only did that for 6 months before they were kind of like, this is a waste of funding, and they dropped it. So yeah, a lot of problems with the experiment setup itself, and even forgetting the whole letter part near the end. Putting people who think they're the same person in a room with each other, maybe not super cool and ethical, maybe. So while it will never be repeated, it does exist as its own case study. Clyde and Joseph give every appearance of remaining essentially unchanged, but Leon continues to show evidence of change, or at least further elaborations in his delusional system of belief. I still visit him every few months, and at each visit I find Leon's story a bit different from the one he told before. He is still groping for new answers to the riddle of his identity to replace earlier and less satisfying answers. The prognosis for schizophrenia, paranoid type, is poor. Perhaps poorer than for any other diagnostic category of functional psychosis. In the extreme, it is a condition which some textbooks describe as incurable or irreversible. But to say that a particular psychiatric condition is incurable or irreversible is to say more about the state of our ignorance than about the state of the patient. This study closes with the hope that at least a small portion of ignorance has here been dispelled, and with the faith that as knowledge gradually advances, the incurable conditions of yesterday and today become the curable conditions of tomorrow. So in this printed copy of the book, which was printed 20 years later, Rockeich includes an afterword. In it he says, Leon Gabber, the youngest of the 3, is alive and well, but still a patient at Ypsilanti State Hospital. Clyde Benson, the oldest, was discharged into the custody of his family in January of 1970. Joseph Cassell died in August 1976. Clyde would have been pushing 80 years old, but he was out for a while. He got to be back with his daughters. And while we can assume that Leon is dead now, considering that this 20-year afterword was written around 1980, he was alive and well, if still a patient. Rockeich says something in this final afterword that is fascinating. He says, while I had failed to cure the 3 Christ of their delusions, they had succeeded in curing me of mine, of my godlike delusion that I could change them by omnipotently and omnisciently arranging and rearranging their daily lives within the framework of a total institution. I had terminated the project some 2 years after the initial confrontation, when I came to realize, dimly at the time, but increasingly more clearly as the years passed, that I really had no right, even in the name of science, to play God and interfere around the clock with their daily
It's good he
lives.
came to it.
I found out from my teachers, the 3 Christ of Ypsilanti, exactly in what sense they were trying to be godlike. They were striving for goodness and greatness, and such strivings, I came to understand, are really the strivings of all human beings. The main difference between the 3 of them and the rest of us who are also trying to be godlike is that whereas the rest of us can bring ourselves to admit the impossibility of our ever becoming absolute or infinitely moral and competent, the 3 Christ found it difficult to admit such an impossibility. Nonetheless, I've learned that what all of us have in common with the 3 Christ is that we all strive to maintain and enhance our self-conceptions and self-presentations as complete and moral. This is one of the major ways in which humans who would be Christ or Christ-like are distinctively different from other living beings. And that is the full story of the 3 Christ of Ypsilanti. Again, it is hard for me to write off Rockeich as like an evil scientist, right? It was such an early stage in mental health and I truly believed he thought he could do some good. But it is tragic that in finding out this wasn't the way to go about it, that at least Leon seemed to suffer more, perhaps past a point of therapeutic recovery. Now, thankfully, schizophrenia is understood a lot more now than it was then, not only in our medication and understandings of the illness, but in the ways we approach therapy. I do not think of the events of the Three Christ of Ypsilanti as being evil by any means, just tragic. And also find myself thinking of Clyde and Joseph and Leon, three men who maybe never found rest in this life, but hopefully have in the life to come. I should also mention that there was a movie that was made in 2017 called The Three Christ that starred Richard Gere as Rockage, Walton Goggins as Leon, and Peter Dinklage as Joseph.
No fucking way, they did?
I'm like, oh, that's cool. I'll watch it before I make this video. And in the first 5 minutes, Rockage runs in and stops Joseph from killing himself, and then the movie became a debate about the morals of electroshock therapy. So I skipped through it some just to see, like, how bad can this get? And midway through, there's a scene where they're holding down Joseph and they're electrocuting them as, like, Rockage is yelling to stop. And the movie becomes a whole thing about, like, the evil doctor that's running it, who's not...
Yeah, that's Hollywood for you.
Named Dr. Yoder, by the way. Oh yeah, and also Rockage isn't named Rockage. They changed his name but kept the name of the three subjects. The movie becomes a whole thing about, like, stopping... I just skimmed this, so it may get worse. It just became a whole thing about, like, stopping the evil person running the hospital from, I don't know, electrocuting people. And then at the end of the movie, which I have no context for this, Joseph goes with the superintendent to the top of the hospital and jumps off and dies. And this leads to, like, a whole, like, controversy outing thing that gets the guy fired, I guess. I don't know. Like, what? Why would you take, like, a real, like, a tragic experiment like this and just make stuff up? Like, oh, well, the story wasn't dramatic enough. Let's have one of the schizophrenics throw himself off a building. It is absurdly stupid, and it made me mad. So if I had to know about it, you did too, as with the rest of this video. If you stuck around this long, I just want to say thank you for watching.
No problem, it was good. Really fucking genuinely good.
Pirate software will go down in history as one of the most spectacular downfalls the internet has ever seen.
Thank you,
His Twitch
Internet
viewership is a
anarchist.
third of what it used to be. He's losing tens of thousands of subscribers on YouTube every day. And worst of all, he's become the lolcow of the internet, with millions of people raking him over the coals for everything he says or does. And at this point, he has no one to blame but himself.
I cannot believe his ego. His ego is so out of control, I feel like he's only a week or two away from exclusively referring to himself in third person, like Stone Cold Steve Austin. And that's the truth, because pirate software said so. Something like that. It's crazy.
He could have avoided this entire controversy with just 3 words. I was wrong. But his ego and arrogance got in the way of him admitting fault, turning him from a beloved and respected figure to one of the most hated
Into a
personalities on the
joke.
internet, all in a matter of days. Hi, I'm the Internet Anarchist. I create weekly YouTube documentaries, and today, we're taking a look at how you've watched multiple of my videos and aren't yet subscribed. Just kidding. We're taking a look at the deserved downfall of pirate software, his monumental fall from grace, and how, even after losing everything, is continuing to make the situation worse for himself.
I'm gonna be honest with you. I hope that your initiative gets everything you asked for, but nothing you wanted.
However, to fully grasp why the internet is so mad at pirate software, we have to understand what made him popular in
What
the
a
first
weird
place.
way to say it.
Jason Hall, better known as Thor, originally started his career back in 2004 as a game developer for Blizzard, the company that made titles like World of Warcraft and Overwatch. After leaving his job at Blizzard, he worked at Amazon Studio for a while, before quitting from there as well and becoming a hacker for the US government.
So, after that, I ended up going to work for the United States Department of Energy because I'm a hacker, offensive security guy, and I hacked power plants for the federal government.
But after a year of doing his job, he resigned from there as well, and started working full-time on his indie game RPG named Heartbound in 2017. He also started doing daily live streams under the name of his studio, Pirate Software, showcasing his game development process on Twitch. However, while Heartbound saw some success in its early days, even getting played by Jacksepticeye at one point, he was still relatively unknown on the internet. But then, in 2022, he made a small decision that would end up changing his life forever. On January 17th, 2022, Thor posted his first short video on YouTube titled Imposter Syndrome. It was a clip from one of his Twitch streams where he gave valuable advice to an inexperienced developer.
I don't wish to fail myself because I'm terrified of actually releasing something to the world I've worked on for over 3 years. Dear God, I am so terrified.
Hey, Thornstar, that feeling never goes away. It never does. I am constantly afraid to release every single piece of content I ever work on this game. I am constantly afraid to get onto stream and, like, not be, you know, whatever it is that people expect me to be. I am constantly afraid that I'm going to create content that no one wants to hang out with, that no one wants to look at, no one wants to care about.
Yep.
And that's just how that is. The thing
How
is,
it is, baby.
you can't stop.
How it is.
You shouldn't stop.
This ended up being a bigger success than he could have ever imagined, amassing over 850,000 views to date. More importantly, this short became a fantastic first impression for all these new viewers, who now saw him as someone exceptionally wise and intelligent. After seeing the potential of short-form content, Thor went all in on this new format and started posting shorts almost daily. And it wasn't long before they were picked up by the YouTube algorithm. As a result, Thor became a regular presence on the YouTube homepage for anyone even slightly interested in game development, bringing in millions of new viewers almost overnight. People also loved almost everything about his content, from his behind-the-curtain knowledge of game development.
Most publishers want 30 to 70% of your income from your game. 30 to 70%. Some of them want 100% upfront until they recoup their costs of marketing your game.
And random tips and tricks.
Take your mouse and you put your mouse inside of MS Paint, and then you hold spacebar, and then you use the arrow keys, you can draw like an Etch-a-Sketch.
To his odd and often amusing opinions.
They mixed Dr. Pepper and beans. They mixed Dr. Pepper and beans. Do they taste like Dr. Pepper? Hell yeah, they do. And they're amazing. They are delicious.
As a fan comment under one of his first YouTube streams states, Thor, wow, first I've heard of you was yesterday from the shorts. You were everything I've been looking for in terms of knowledgeable game dev, storyteller, and straight up kind human. Keep it up, badass. The popularity of his content on YouTube also translated into his Twitch viewership skyrocketing past any expectations he might have had. It reached a point where he broke the Twitch hype train record 4 different times, and gained over 80,000 paid subscribers on the platform. By 2024, Thor's career had reached an all-time high. Millions of fans eagerly consumed everything he released, and the vast majority held him in very high regard. As a thankful viewer puts it, this is the most motivating and helpful individual I've found in the game dev space. And that's saying quite a lot, as most devs are so helpful and encouraging. This man makes me feel like my dreams are within my grasp, and that's so rare to find. He was on track to become one of the legendary figures of online gaming, right alongside the likes of Jacksepticeye and Markiplier. But then, 2025
Markiplier and Jacksepticeye.
And
That's who you think are the best of this scene.
Live stream nearly shattered the trust and support Thor had spent years building.
Force Gaming is so much better than either of those guys, and I don't even like Force that much, you know what I'm saying? What the fuck are you talking about? Time for a beer. Jacksepticeye. Fucking Jacksepticeye. I haven't even seen a video from him in like 3 years. Something like that.
I didn't play well. Other people in the group didn't play well, but they pinned it on me.
You did play well, and I can't believe I have to defend you all the fucking time. I hate you, kind of. I don't want to defend you, but you did play well. It comes down to reality, though. The younger generations, I'm gonna talk like Trump. The younger generations, the tablet brain rot generations, they assume that you can just pull the meritocracy win out of your fucking ass if you try hard. But no, in reality, if a mage has no mana, A mage can't cast any spells. He was out of mana. We all saw it. They churned on it for fucking, I don't know, 2 months or something like that. We all saw that he was out of mana. What the fuck can a mage do who's out of mana? It's kind of like shooting a gun when you don't have bullets. Oh, you really should have shot the guy. You're such a loser because you didn't shoot the guy. But I didn't have any bullets. Well, real losers don't run out, or real winners don't run out of bullets. Only losers run out of bullets. It doesn't matter. I'm out of bullets. I can't kill the guy. You know, I can't kill the guy, not from range anyways. I'll have to do it with my empty gun, you know? And this is that thing. He was out of mana. There's nothing you can do. I played World of Warcraft for motherfucking 17 years. I'm in the top 100 players out of the 17 million. And I know that mage was out of goddamn mana. I don't like Pirate Software either. But he was out of mana. He was out of mana. I watched it. It was excruciating. He ran out of mana, like, I don't know, 2 minutes and 55 seconds before the end of the fucking terrible poll. He was out of mana when they initially ran. You could call him bad for that. You could say he probably, but he also didn't die. Real motherfuckers don't die, you know? He didn't die. He ran out of mana. What can you do? You're out of mana. And I don't like Pirate Software. I don't. We've been through this so many times on my stream. But if you run out of mana, you can't cast spells. It's kind of like, oh, we were dying of thirst in the desert. Why didn't you get out some water? Well, because I don't have any water. I can't drink in the desert if I don't have any water. Now, can I? It's like reality and the fucking younger generations and these politicians. They don't fucking meet. They just don't meet. Like, reality and these guys don't fuck with each other. The mage is out of mana, so you want to say, like, even himself, he's now ragging on himself. Listen to him talk about his own performance. He was like, I could have played better. Oh yeah, how could you play better? You're out of mana. What? Yeah, I guess you could have, no. I guess you might have missed a sheep, but any time that you would have tried to sheep something, you would have put your life at risk. That's not what you do in hardcore. You just don't put your fucking life at risk in hardcore. I found no fault with the way that he played. And trust me, I looked over that motherfucker with a fine-tooth comb like a fucking referee at the fucking Super Bowl. You know what I'm saying? I looked over that motherfucker. We've been over this many, many, many times. He didn't do anything that he did everything he could do. What can you do? You're a mage. You're out of mana. It's not your fault that the jackass tank pulled fucking 5 extra fucking pulls. Your priest doesn't know how to bubble or fear. Like, they don't know how to kill. Like, when he says, what can I do for you? Like, in the middle of the fight, Pirate Software was like, what can I do for you? Look at my mana.
There was one of the players that was very vocal about saying
2025 rolled around, and a single live stream nearly shattered the trust.
I don't like Pirate because I used to know Pirate. He was in this fucking Eve Corporation called Tyrants that I was in. And he was a fucking pissant little fucking bitch ass, I swear to God. He fucking pestered my Australian fucking, like, corporation leader all day fucking long. We've told this story before too. I know this kid. I know this kid. I spent months with him. He's such a fucking asshole.
And support Third spent years building.
Sure, they made him famous for, what was it, like 2 years or something like that, but it doesn't matter. I know this guy. I've spent some time with him, and it's impossible to be around him. I know it. I've been around this guy.
Building.
I didn't play well. Other people.
Yes, you did. You were out of fucking mana. Now, I'm sorry. You could have gone in there and Frost Nova'd and Petri Flasked. But that's what a dead person does. I can't see you living through that. Can you? I could have this conversation with Pirate Software right to his fucking face. Yeah, you were bad in the respect that you had goddamn $4,000 USD in fucking booster mats and fucking Petri flasks and like literally like we struggle trying to figure how we're gonna buy a used car or something like that. And you motherfuckers roll around with $5,000 USD and motherfucking burnable mats on fucking hardcore WoW. Why? Because you spend money? Because you buy everything? Because money's your fucking god now. So yeah, you could have probably blinked in and Frost Nova maybe and prevented some deaths if you petried. But then what? Is the tank gonna stop being bad? Is the priest actually going to fear in the right way? Like, are they going to get any more kills? No, they can't get in range of any of the monsters. They're going to die. They're going to die in one hit. Everybody but the tank's going to die in one hit. There's this period where you begin to understand when you look at a really bad situation, you're like, yeah, we could have blamed a whole bunch of people, but I mean, like, it played out in 2 minutes and 10 seconds. And I mean, what do you do? I mean, what do you do? It's like when something goes wrong in sports or wars, something like that. What can you do? You just sort of adapt. And this motherfucker, he did not cause any deaths. He could have petriflashed, suicided. And I think that's what the little kids wanted him to do because they're goddamn dumb.
Didn't play well. They pinned it on.
You did play well. I watched it. Now there's like I got two faults, right? Two faults. Your mana gems were unclicked. You're a fucking clicker and you're fucking bad. And I say that the way that the fucking F-its use the M-word. You understand? You're a fucking clicker. You understand? You're somebody who uses clicking instead of fucking macros or scripts or keybinds or whatever. You yourself, a fucking $20 million a year fucking gamer. A $20 million a year streamer. I swear to God, $20 million he cleared this year or something like that. You yourself are a fucking clicker. You know, you're not Knight Marshal. You're not Knight Lieutenant. You're not Knight Champion. You're not Field Marshal. You're not fucking you're not a gladiator. You've not killed 178,000 fucking people. You just don't have those numbers. You're not bloodthirsty like me. You don't walk the walk. You don't talk the talk. But the man made no mistakes. It's a mage. If a mage runs out of mana, if a gun runs out of bullets, can you blame the gun? No, you blame the situation where there was so much targets that you ran out of ammo. You don't blame the guy for not bringing enough ammo unless he only brought like 8 bullets or something, right? But no, motherfucker brought exactly all he needed to the fight. He didn't make a tactical mistake. He didn't pull extra. He did CC. He did Frost Nova things. He did fucking Frostball things. I went looking for fault in this guy, and I really don't like him. He's a standout fucking prick, frankly. I really don't fucking like this guy. You understand? I really don't fucking like him. I really don't. But I went looking for fault. I couldn't fucking find it. I mean, there's nothing you can do when you're out of goddamn mana. I was a priest for 20 fucking years. You under like 17 years, something like that. What the fuck can you do? You can mana gem for 800 mana and maybe get another flash heal out on the priest, so she lasts 1 millisecond longer as she tanks 15 goddamn mobs because your fucking tank like pulled 4 fucking packs for some reason. But I mean, like, no, you can't pull mana out of your fucking ass. Now he could have gone and Frost Nova and petrification, but you know how that is. If you blink into fucking 35 fucking targets, all of them off global cooldown, waiting to swing, all 35 fucking targets swing on you inside of a millisecond, motherfucker. Maybe you don't understand what fucking RPG combat's actually like, but I mean, I do. It's 35 fucking mobs all taking a global swing at you. If you blink into them, you are going to fucking die unless you fucking Frost Nova, Frost Block, or fucking Petrification Potion. Now, that's what the kids wanted him to do. But remember, Pirate Software didn't die. The Scrubs died. And I don't like talking about them like this, but real motherfuckers don't die. That warrior had the ability, the priest had the ability to live. If they had just feared and stayed unified in their fucking position, but the first thing that they did was immediately blame someone else for all of their fucking problems, like the Democratic Party. Is fucking sick and sad. It's depressing. But I mean, like, Pirate didn't make a goddamn fucking tactical error. We went back and fine-toothed, the entire internet went back and fine-toothed the entire 2-minute situation. And on top of it, WoW Hardcore got canceled in that moment. Their guild fell apart. Six dropping stuck his dick up his fucking ass and fucking like canceled him and G-kicked him and all this stupid ass shit. Asmongold never joined. Amiru fucking left. There was all these people that I've never met before that are fucking name famous and shit that rolled in the fucking scene that left that day. You understand? And it was over Pirate Software's fucking stupid ass, like, you know, he didn't die though. He didn't pull the extra packs. He could have monogemmed. Yeah, he was fucked up in that respect. He could have monogemmed and maybe gone and suicided a Frost Nova for you and sacrificed his life for the other 4 scrubs in there that are in Dire Maul, I might add. Why the fuck were you in Dire Maul at level 52? I'm sorry, you're supposed to know more about this game than I do. I was on drugs all of my goddamn life. Granted, I went to the top 100 out of the 17 million people, but I mean, I was on drugs my entire entire fucking life, and even I know not to go to goddamn Dire Mall at level 52 like a goddamn jackass. If you're good at the fucking game, you wouldn't have been there, but instead, you let some fucking scrub-ass streamers who don't belong on hardcore motherfucking WoW, who have absolutely no idea how to survive, or not to go to Dire Mall.
That's it. There was,
and he's like, I didn't play well. So he starts talking like Trump. He's like, I didn't play well. Motherfucker, tell me what else you could have done. You could have monogemmed and then suicided. So I'm sorry that you didn't put the gun in your mouth and pull the trigger to make sure that the other 4 people knew that you're a fucking martyr or whatever. But what can a fucking mage do without mana? What can a gun do without ammo? What can a dying man of thirst do in a desert without water? It's kind of insane. I don't go looking for empty mana mages to pull out miracles out of their fat mage behinds. I don't go looking for miracles from mages. You know what means? Maybe you do if you're from the WoW community like me, or if you don't. Means out of mana, bitch. It means you don't have anything. It's the same thing as Uwa, which is out of ammo. It means out of ammo, out of mana. You can't fucking do anything. He was a mage without mana. And you wanted to rage and cancel his ass. You did cancel his ass, but you guys are shitheads. He didn't do anything wrong. He didn't make the fucking 4-pack pull. He didn't fuck up on his executions. He ran out of mana because he was trying to help people, and he survived too, which is the real test of motherfucking hardcore. Yeah, it's YOLO, bitch. You only get one chance. If you didn't die, you probably played well. I mean, I hate to say it. I mean, maybe you guys are fucking losers. I think you kind of are. You fucking lose all the time. You ever won 1,200 Fortnite matches, or 1,200 Overwatch matches, or 1,200 fucking, I don't know, Hearthstone matches, or I don't know, 6,000 hours on Rust, or I don't know, 300 successful raids or something like that? You ever been on a successful raiding party hundreds of times? And I'm gonna remind you about this, and this is something we talk about in fucking systems. Piece of shit corpo cocksucker executives don't know it, but I do. And I'm going to tell you, your win-loss ratio, and I've said this on my streams so many fucking times, it's not me talking out my fucking ass. You're the one talking out of your fucking ass thinking that he could have done something. You understand? The real problem here was how toxic these people were to their own team. And I'm going to tell you an old adage that it's a Skycatlive quote, and it's a quote, and I have to say it verbatim or I fuck it up, right? And I'm going to say it verbatim here, and it's hard for me to do a little bit when I'm tipsy, but I'm going to do it, right? Your win-loss ratio is directly proportional to how toxic you are to your team in the heat of the moment. And I'm going to repeat it, and I didn't fuck it up either. I didn't fuck it up, motherfucker. It's one of the reasons why I'm a good games theorist. The kind of games theorist that could stand with motherfucking Carl Sagan or something. I don't give a flying fuck if they never gave me money or not. I know this shit like the back of my fucking hand, and I'll say it to my little droogies in the fucking channel who might be in a position like Pirate Software someday. A position of power and prestige and pressure, right? Your win-loss ratio is directly proportional to how toxic you are to your team in the heat of the moment of the battle. And I can screw around and toss some words in there like your win-loss ratio is directly proportional to how toxic you are to your fucking team in the heat of the battle. In the heat of the moment of the battle, right? I'm sorry, and I'm going to say it one more time so you guys can actually fucking get this. It's like some kind of crazy fucking life hack for you. But I mean, anybody who's ever been in actual competitive anything knows this like the back of their fucking hand. Your win-loss ratio is directly proportional to how toxic you are to your team in the heat of the moment. Now, this guy, he didn't rage against his team, but his team raged against him. While they died, they raged against him. And that's how he can mark the bad just like I can mark the bad. He can mark the bad. And he was like, I played badly. Why? Because you didn't click a monogem? Is that as bad as pulling 4 extra fucking packs? I mean, is that really that bad? The man didn't click his mana gem. And I swear to God, I've gotten bullshit all of my fucking career for this. I'm sorry that I didn't fucking cast re-raise as you tanked fucking 45 ads for 27 minutes and timed out the fucking battle on time. And the fucking boss enrages and all the ads kill us. And I'm out of mana at the end of the fucking battle. Now, I'm telling you the whole battle, you have to kill the ads. You have to kill the ads. The mage is out of mana. What the fuck can he do? The priest is out of mana. I'm the priest. What the fuck can I do? You have to kill the ads. You have to kill the ads. You cannot stand in the fucking fire. You actually have to kill the ads. It's like this thing in the math equation that has to happen. It's like the plus symbol or the or the minus symbol or the division symbol or the minus symbol mainly. It's like the minus symbol in this subtraction fucking equation that is this fight that we're in. You have to kill the fucking ads. Now, nobody in that fight did anything correctly except Pirate Software. The tank pulled goddamn 4 extra packs. The priest ran and didn't clicky. The priest died, and they absolutely did have $5,000 USD. And you think I keep saying that because I'm trolling you or I'm some kind of fucking ass clown or something, but no, the entire goddamn party had $25,000 US dollars cash. I swear to God, $25,000 US dollars cash in their fucking clicky mats that 2 of them didn't even use. And I'm sorry, but if you're gonna dump $5,000 cash into some clicky mats on a fucking video game, you better fucking use them. And I've never messed that up. I've done it too. I've had people hand me thousands of dollars of mats and shit like this, or thousands of dollars worth of a spaceship, or thousands of dollars worth of a rust base, or whatever the fuck it is, or thousands of hours of mats, or thousands of hours of mini pets, or whatever the fuck it is. You ever actually been in a high pressure situation? In the first thing, I swear to God, the fucking scrubs that are gonna get you fucking killed, the first thing that they do is they turn on their fucking team. The only person on that team who did not fight their own team was Pirate Software. Now, I don't like backing up this fucking selfish prick. I absolutely do not. I don't like this guy. He's worse than fucking Nicolas Cage or something like that. Or fucking, Russell Brand or something like this. He's a stuffy piece of shit fucking, like Ben Stein nerd who lords it over everybody with his huge ego because he was successful in a scene that usually is prevalent for, it's usually prevalent for an entertainer to do well in entertainment. But this guy is an unpleasant piece of shit, pencil neck, anal retentive nerd with no manners, no fucking anything. Worse than Donald Trump in terms of his fucking charisma or his fucking social skills or anything like this. I'm talking unable to talk to anybody like fucking JD Vance or whatever. You can see it when he speaks. And it still doesn't matter. He was the only one there that didn't attack his own team. He was the only one there who didn't make a tactical fucking error. I don't like talking about this. It's come up like seven or eight times on my fucking stream, but I'm sorry. We can go back and watch the footage of this. And I can do a play-by-play like motherfucking John Madden on NFL, because motherfucker, I am John Madden on NFL. I did raids for fucking 17 years with the best of them. I am a top 100 player, motherfucker. I can run that shit out like a John Madden and run some, without even fucking editing or any kind of practice or anything like this. I can fucking, I've done it before like 6 or 7 times. I can fucking narrate the fuck up of Pirate Software as he got canceled for being bad in the worst game that's ever existed, World of Warcraft fucking hardcore. What the fuck happened here?
One of the players that was very vocal about...
One of the players was very vocal about dissing me while we're dying in the middle of the fight. I mean, just be honest about it, Thor, or whatever your fucking name is. I don't care what your fucking name is. Your team tore you a new goddamn butthole for the last fucking 30 years or whatever it is. It doesn't matter if it's me or them. It doesn't matter. Your team tore you a new butthole for the last fucking whatever. Just say it.
It was all my fault.
It's all my fault. It's all my fault. We internalized this stupid shit, but you didn't make a tactical error. Like sports commentators will admit that you didn't make a fucking error. You can replay that fight over and over and over again, and no matter what, Pirate didn't make a fucking tactical error. Pirate exited the fucking dungeon first. Pirate didn't pull 4 extra packs. Pirate did CC when he was supposed to. It's fucking shitty, but I come from a fucking actual DIY merit. It's not meritocracy. It's like a what do you call this? Like a value. I come from a value community. Well, I'm sorry, it's throughput, I guess is the word. I come from a throughput community. That's the word we use in the community. It's called throughput, right? This guy, he had the throughput. He had 0 deaths. He had the most CCs. He had the most damage. He had the most support. He did not attack his own team. When you go across the fucking recounts, like some kind of sports recast or something like this, you begin begin to understand that the motherfucker was top of the charts. Now, I spent 7 years of my life bossing 550 fucking people around who really didn't know how to do anything at all. Swear to God, tablet brain rot people, I swear to God, who had no clue how to do anything at all. I swear to God, I bossed around 550 fucking people for 7 years, and yes, it did break my mind, like the drugs and the government and the police. It just broke my fucking mind. Understand, right? But understand, I, like everybody else in an actual skill position, have to go back and look at the goddamn metrics, right? We had the recount. We can go back to that fucking fight. The recount was live on 5 players in that fucking fight for the 2.5 minutes that his tank fucked up and his priest fucked up, and you brought a druid to Dire Maul, and I'm terribly sorry, it's almost like racism, but druids don't belong in fucking classic WoW. Anybody with a fucking clue knows it. Ask any WoW player, hey, what class doesn't belong in WoW? They're gonna tell you 2 classes. They're gonna tell you druid and paladin had no place in the beginning of WoW in classic, you know, vanilla WoW. They had no place. Want to know why? Because Red Pally does no damage, Red Pally cannot tank, Red Pally cannot heal, and that's what Paladin is. Holy Paladin can heal, but Holy Paladin can't heal as well as a priest or a shaman or a fucking like a druid or anything like that. Like okay, so paladins are fucking worthless in classic WoW. You know what's more worthless than a fucking paladin in fucking classic WoW? A fucking feral druid. Why did Pyrus Software go to Dire Maul at the level of 53 or 54, whatever the fuck it was, with a fucking feral druid? Anybody with a clue, even the ones who don't have a clue, can easily go to Google and be like, should you bring a druid to Dire Maul? And you can literally ask the AI this. Hey AI, should you bring a druid to Dire Maul in classic WoW? The answer is no, bitch. Like, now it misspelled Dire Maul because it doesn't know what I'm talking about here yet. There we go. No. The answer is no. There it is. You see it? You can, I'm sorry, they're like, absolutely, you can bring a druid to Dire Maul in classic WoW. They're like, you can bring one, but should you? The answer is no. While often overlooked, druid tanks can perform well. Do you know how they say, like, you know, you ever notice in loser language, they're like, they can perform well, but there's no confirmation of actually succeeding here. They're like, the druid tank can perform well, but they don't ever say, yeah, druid can tank this fine, right? You never hear the fucking actual confirmation of druid can tank this fine. Like, it's just not there, because not even the AI won't say it. Nobody will say it. No, everybody who has a fucking clue understands that you don't bring a fucking paladin or a fucking druid to Dire Maul. I've known it since I was goddamn 17 years old. I'm mid-40s now. You understand this? This shit isn't even funny anymore. It's been 24 years since that shit was cool. Feral, where is the utility? It's just not there. I have 2 stuns. It doesn't matter. I still can't do the damage of anybody else in the game. You can literally see them say it on the fucking forums. This guy is like this. He's like, I have 2 stuns depending on race, and it doesn't matter what I do. I can't meet the fucking DPS commands of my party, which is just insane. So no, you don't bring a fucking feral druid. Now, Pyrus Software knew better. Pyrus Software has a good heart. I don't like Pyrus Software, but Pyrus Software has a good heart. So what did Pyrus Software do? He brought his you know, and there's a word for this. It's called Dunning-Krugerism. It's Dunning-Kruger. Is some asshole who thinks that they can do something when they don't actually have the skill set to do something. Now, I hate to say this, but if you go to Dire Maul with a druid in hardcore classic, and I'm sorry, but Asmongold would say the same thing, so will S-Fan, so will anybody who was actually there 6-dropping or whatever the fuck his name was when he was in my guild. Top WoW player in the world was a bitch in my guild, I swear to God. His name was 6-dropping. He's the top fucking WoW player in the world now, but he was a bitch when he was in my guild. I'm terribly sorry, but he was a bitch in my guild. He was famous for having the most 75s, and that was the only thing he was good at. That was it. And now he's like running fucking OnlyFans, which is like, what, dude? The worst bitch in my Eximos guild, my fucking Eximos guild, like the worst bitch in my Eximos guild ended up being the top WoW player in the fucking world. Why? Because he's got a personality? I guess so. I guess it is entertainment. I didn't want to admit this when I became a streamer, but, you know, deep down inside, I've got this terrible, dark conviction, deep one, that, do you never get that shit that you can't shake? Like, deep, dark conviction that if I can't entertain people, I can't be the best gamer on the fucking planet. And that's a weird, sick, fucking weird thing, because, you know, gamers, we don't need to entertain anybody but ourselves, you know, like, at all. But I mean, now, if I want to be like the top gamer in the fucking world, I have to entertain the world not only better than Pirate Software, but also better than fucking Six Dropping or whatever the fuck his name is. What's his name? Is Soda Poppin'. Soda Poppin'. This guy. You know, this guy. We can pull him. We can type his name in. He's the most famous WoW player of all time, short of Asmongold. You know, and if he didn't sign up with Trump like fucking Asmongold, he'd be even if he had signed up with Trump like fucking backstabbing ass Asmongold, he would have been, you know, even higher and shit. But we could type his name in. Now, you guys know this guy is Soda Poppin'. But I know him as a bunch of other names. 6 dropping, 5 dropping, 4 dropping, 3 dropping. I know because I use this system in my own life based off of how he named his characters and shit. And he was an interesting person who did have a big role in my guild and shit. He was, you know. But he wasn't the guild leader. That was my friend Kurt. Then eventually me. Then eventually Ziv. You know what I'm saying? He was not the guild leader. I was the guild leader. He wasn't the guild leader. These people, they constantly think that they're fucking better than me because I have different focuses than them. But I'm sorry, when you come to my fucking territory, when you stand on my island or my ground or whatever, understand, like, you know, you're like, I'm gonna win. So here we go. So here's Soda Poppin' leaving WoW, breaking OTK, breaking fucking stupid ass OnlyFans and all this shit. This is Soda Poppin'. I've known him for fucking, I don't know, 17 years. Motherfucker has 25 million hits or something like that. I know a bunch of famous fucking people. My old gills, they were the best in the world. So all the time they were feeders for weird entertainment projects and shit like this. Soda Poppin's one of them. I swear to God, I know this girl. I know this girl because she tore our guild apart. Bagon can talk about this girl. This girl, Trade Chat right here. Her name is Pandilly or Patricia. And I know this girl. I know how she looks. I know her voice. I know her name. I spent 13 fucking years of my life with this girl, and she's mega fucking famous. 409,000 subscribers. One of the big ones out of the World of Warcraft fucking community. God, I wish I could stand to play WoW.
Into question 1. In classic WoW beta, which class had a feign death type ability called
Play Dead would be Hunter.
Dead? Was it A, shamans in
Hunters, it's C.
ghost form? B,
Feral Druids. It might be Feral, actually.
Druids in cat form?
I don't know. Did Feral have fucking feigned death and called Play Dead? Yeah, Feral did have Play Dead. I think it's Feral. I think it's B.
Or C?
Yeah. Feral had Play Dead in closed beta WoW. Which, by the way, I did close beta WoW. I'm so much better than fucking Asmongold. I don't cater to 16 million idiot kids or whatever, but I'm still better than him.
Hunters, but they've since renamed the ability. Click the link to the annotation.
Hunters, come on, no. I believe that is a Feral thing. Hunter had feigned death. It's not Play Dead. Yeah, Play Dead got changed to feigned death, I guess, is what she's saying. Yeah. Anyways, so
Monkey Madness 1. Start.
So this guy, he's got 1.12 million subscribers. That's about $20 million a year. This guy was a bitch in my guild. He was a bitch. The only thing he was famous for is he has so much time that he had every 75 in WoW. He had every 75, and I mean, but when I say that, you guys think maybe 13 classes, right? But understand, 13 classes with 3 specs each is 39 different fucking 75s. He had 39 75s in the Cataclysm era. Do you understand how much money, time, boosting, corruption, cocksucking, failure, bullshit that actually is? 39 75s, and he's still got a girlfriend and all this shit, because you can see it. He is a trust fund baby. From the nice house and the nice money and the nice pictures and the nice Mego dolls in the back and the girl repellent on the fucking shelves and all this shit, you can see that the parents actually supported this guy, you know? It's crazy, like, as in like not supported him, like, you know, when he was young, meaning he never left the house, you know, he just played video games, you know, he didn't go try to build a band or try to be a poet or, you know, travel the world or, you know, anything. That he just sat there, spent daddy's money, and play World of Warcraft. I mean, it was a dream. I would have loved to be like that. But no, I stole computers, I stole cars, I did everything I had to do to keep my video game addiction going, and I always have and always will. I will do whatever it takes, you understand? Because I spend the same amount of time in the MMO lifestyle as this guy does. The difference is, he had to step up. I think of them as Nepo babies. It's a Nepo baby. Even now, the only money that's ever gone into my fucking stream either comes from you guys or my pocket, you understand? Nobody the fuck else. But when you look at this guy, you can see that Daddy bought the chair that he's sitting on. Daddy bought the mic that he's talking on. I mean, this is true for me too. But I mean, like, but the difference is, like, that money was mine. You know, I worked very hard to even qualify for disability or you know, whatever. You know, it's very weird. So, but this guy, he's just spent money his whole life. You know, and he's so much more famous than me. Why? Because he had money?
Helper. Hey, and all of
Here he is leaving WoW for old school RuneScape, which is just like, hold on, guys. Let's leave the PlayStation 4 era and go back to the Game Boy. I used an apt metaphor. Anyway, back to Pirate Software.
The community rallied around it, and now it's become a content play for people.
Now it's kind of content play that you didn't Petri flask. You didn't blow $1,000 on a pool. Come on, blow $1,000 on a pool. Be the Nepo babies. Swipe. Come on, swiper. Come on, you fucking dirty fucking swiping swiper. You fucking dirty fucking swipe eating swiper. Come on, swipe that credit card. Come on, swipe that credit card and eat that Petri flask and go Frost Nova and die. Come on, you're such a loser. Come on. Why don't you go Petri flask and blow $1,000 USD in a single second and then die anyways? Come on, you're such an asshole.
And that's kind of
It all started on January 12th, 2025.
I remember this. Like, we reviewed this January 13th for like 6 hours. Do you remember? I can go back to the day I was talking about this, because I do have the premier MMO history on the fucking internet. You understand? I'm going to be so fucking rich and famous eventually when I'm like 85 years old. It's going to be insane. I'll be a Rupert Murdoch. As long as nobody benefited it, as long as it was me and only me left and all this, all that money, as long as it doesn't matter, as long as nobody can benefit it from me, you know, that money won't matter. But here, we can do this. You know, he mentions January 12th, 2025. Now you think I'm kidding, but no, I can actually go back to my channel to January 12th, 2025, and I can watch my reaction to fucking Pirate Software sucking dick. Well, yeah, I mean, he didn't suck dick. You know, he didn't suck dick live. He actually, you know, he did not do that. So yeah, we could go back a little bit. Ooh, look, I've got 12 hours of watch time in the last month, which is fucking pretty good for, you know, for what I do. So my Skycat Loves Elden Ring did pretty well, huh? Yeah, you're top content in this period. Yeah, that was in 22. Yeah, that was 4 years ago. Good job. So anyways, hey, I got a good hits just this week, though. I got 11 hits this week, which is pretty good. But anyways, if you don't have any money, it's kind of insane. But anyways, we're going to go back. We're going to go back a little bit. We're going to go back to... You think I'm kidding, but no, I'm going to go back to January. I'm not fucking kidding. I'm going to go back to January. I know exactly when I'm going to go. Yeah, here we go. In January... oh, no, was I banned? Was I banned? No, no, I'm here. There we go. Yeah, there's Christmas. There's Trouble Travels in Threes. That was a good time, man. Yeah. So we're going back from March to January 13th. There it is. And this is why I do what I do. And it's why I'm going to be super famous and super rich as long as it's too late for anybody to benefit from it. As long as it only benefits me. I don't know why the curses are like that. They just are. I'm the only one who can benefit from my work. I don't know why, but it's just like this. I really don't know why. But anyway, so yeah, we go back to January 13th here. Yep, here we go. We go back to January 13th, which is like, yeah, 9/14... 8/19. It's going to take too long to do this. I'm just going to get off it. But yeah, I could go back. If I wanted to spend an hour doing it, I could go back to January 12th and I could look at the original fucking breakdown of Pirates Fight. I could.
When Thor decided to stream a hardcore World of Warcraft raid with other streamers and veteran players. At one point during the raid, the situation became dire. and instead of helping his
This is not a raid, you fucking idiot. How do you have 1 million subs? This is not a fucking raid. It's a 5-man dungeon for level 60s to do after the expansion is over. Why the fuck were they in Dire Maul? Why were they there when they were level 54? Why were there 60s? Why did anybody die in here? Why are you calling it a raid? It's a 5-man dungeon. You guys don't know anything about this.
teammates in any way.
It's weird how much the modern famous people really don't know anything at all.
Thor decided to
He
run
calls this 5-man dungeon a raid because he doesn't know. He doesn't know anything about this at all. I'm getting interrupted, guys. I'm terribly sorry. I'll have to mute it. I'm terribly sorry, guys. Got to step away. You know, I'll be right back. I'm sorry, guys. I know I lost zeros. I keep losing zeros. I'm terribly sorry. Lost zeros. There's nothing I can do. I tried. I had it there for a bit, but it happened. I lost the zeros. I can't do anything.
Familiar with World of Warcraft?
Yep, from 20 to 2. From 20 to 2. Terribly sorry, guys. I wouldn't do this if I couldn't help it.
Core. This means that those characters were now lost forever. The players would have to grind the game for weeks to get back to the same level again. But rather than
no. These guys, they blow $10,000 to $40,000 USD, so they don't have to spend any time at all. When you begin to understand that all of life is win trading, and if you get somewhere successful, it's because you let your enemies win, you understand humanity.
in fault or even showing.
I've been there. I've actually been in the top 1% of humanity before. I don't know how else to say it. I tell people, they just ignore it. But I've been in the top 1% of humanity before. But you know, in the stature of my accolades and trophies and achievements and such. And when you've been up there, you begin to understand that nobody at the top got there legitimately. They all win trade. From the gladiators to the sports people to the fucking business people to the Donald Trumps of the world to the fucking warlords and the barons and the generals. It doesn't matter. If you're at the fucking top, it's not because of meritocracy or how good you are at something or your skill set or anything like that. It is because you win traded. And when you sell out and you win trade and you create a field that people can manipulate and such, you will do well. If you don't sell out and you don't win trade and you do it all legit like me on live, you know, edited, unedited, unadulterated, uncorrupted, you cannot make it to the top, but you can do a steady climb almost all the way to the top. But if you intend to be at the top, like Donald Trump or I don't know, Bruce Lee or anybody who's ever been at the top of their fucking game or whatever, right? You must understand that corruption is the price of success. There you go. It's a good Skycat quote. Corruption is the price of success. And so I never win traded, which is why I went within 15 points at Gladiator. But I mean, you have to win trade to pull 40, wins in a row. You know, they always talk about undefeated in sports and stuff like that. But I mean, if you've ever played a tic-tac-toe game, which is what sports is, you'll understand that undefeated is kind of like this crazy word that liars and cheats and scoundrels and thieves use. Undefeated is not real.
Thor decided to be arrogant.
I guarantee, like for a long time, they said Mike Tyson was undefeated. Yeah, he's undefeated in the boxing match. Yeah, in a boxing match, maybe. Yeah.
About it and put all the blame on others.
Because you're angry right now. Of course,
Don't be angry.
You overpulled 2 packs. You overpulled 2 packs and a boss.
Yeah, you pulled 2 packs in a boss.
1,400 mana left.
Yeah, 1,400 mana left. What's that? That's like a sheep. He can sheep one of the 17 mobs that you pulled.
Spend all of that mana to try and put it on Blizzard to save you guys.
Yeah, maybe a Blizzard. Yeah, like a rank 1 Blizzard. What can a mage that's out of mana do? What can a gun that has no bullets actually do? You can blame the gun all day long, but I mean, like, the gun without bullets can't do anything.
And
it's an apt metaphor. You can scream at the gun and tell them they're a bad streamer or that they're, that they didn't make it or it's their fault this happened or whatever. But I mean, in the end, it's a gun that would have killed everything if they had bullets. They didn't have bullets.
You weren't paying attention to party resources.
You weren't paying attention to party resources. He's right about this. Nobody petroflashed, which is weird because you fucking bads, you used your fucking streamer careers to raise enough money to buy petrification flasks from Chinese RMT gold sellers and stuff, right? I don't mean this in some racist way. I'm just saying you went to a Chinese gold seller and you bought petrification flasks on, what's that server you guys are on? Is it Skull Rock? Yeah, it's Skull Rock. I was there too, right, motherfucker? I'm in the same community, in the same places, and with the same accolades, and I didn't die. I mean, I died a lot, but I didn't die like you guys die. And like, you know, and I know what you guys spent on petrification flasks and boosting and all that shit. It's tens of thousands of dollars USD. It's not some funny money Bitcoin or something. It's tens of thousands of dollars USD. So when he says that terrible sentence, listen to him say it. He's like, you didn't pay attention to party cooldowns, which is petrification flasks. We had 2 deaths here. Why did we have 2 deaths here? You're fucking streamers with tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, if not millions of dollars. You can burn a petrification flask and it's not going to end your fucking career. Nobody cares. They're going to respect you for it. What I don't respect you for is not doing it. Now, you guys, none of you guys did this. Not even him. He didn't need to because he didn't stick around and nut hug the mobs and suck dick and die like you did. But I mean, like, you know, you guys did need to petrification flask. And I'm not playing the blame game. I'm saying that we can all see your cooldowns. It's kind of like watching a baseball player, or no, what's a better metaphor? It's like watching the World Series of Poker. And seeing 5 of the 11 hands, you know, those 5 players being on your team, right? And you can see what's in the hands of those 5 players at the 11-person tourney, and all 5 of those players had outs. They had a you know, you do pass go, you do collect $200, you do get out of jail free no matter what card, called the petrification flask, which is worth, I might remind you, $3,500 USD. Now, if I could sell curry, if my job wasn't illegal because of piece of shit baby boomer fucking cocksuckers who fucking fungle and bungle and dungle the world, right? I could go sell petrification flasks to people like Pirate Software for $3,500 a pop, and they're easy to get. You understand? $3,500, like go buy gas and rent kind of $3,500 cash. But I can't, because piece of shit fucking cocksucker Democrats and Republicans fucking ruined our fucking world and impoverished my entire fucking sector. They impoverished my entire sector. They constrained 3 generations of kids to fucking poverty and idiocy, and I'm terribly sorry, but I mean, like, you know, but I can sell petrification flasks to Pirate Software so he doesn't die in his hardcore run. Now, I could do this if pieces of shit didn't make my job illegal and selling currency and flasks and boosts illegal, but they did, so I can't. You know, so I can't sell him the flasks. He has to go buy that from China so they can have more money than poor white people in America or whatever. It's just insane how big this fucking problem goes or whatever. But I would like to be the guy that sold the petrification flasks to this party in Dire Mall, because I know that they're gonna die. They're in Dire Mall. So here's some petrification flasks. They're only $3,500 USD, you know? Swipe your PayPal and you can have it. You can have it, right? But no. All 5 of these people had petrification flasks. You can see them sitting right there on their fucking bar. You can see it. It's sitting right there. He's got 3 of them. He's got $12,500 or whatever it is worth of petrification flasks sitting right there on his goddamn bar.
You overpulled and you weren't paying attention.
You still died. What's your fucking excuse? When I go to the Olympics, I try really hard. When you went to the Olympics, you fucked up, jacked off for 3.5 minutes and fucking died twice. I'm terribly sorry.
Where the boss was. That's not on me.
This, you know, I try hard. You know, I try hard. The difference is you never try your best. You know, your best would have been petrification potions. He could have saved you. He could have gone back. I mean, I mean, we could redo the whole Pirate Software death. Or, I mean, he didn't die. But I mean, like, you know, we could go back and look at it. He was out of the dungeon before you guys were even I think like 95 yawms from the fucking zone or something like that. He could have sat and drank outside the fucking dungeon, got his mana back, ran in Frost Nova in the time it took you guys to get to the fucking front door. That's how I know that you deserved your death. And I don't like playing the blame game, but the problem is you pointed the finger at him. You're still pointing the finger at him. You point the finger at me even though you built this fucking prison industrial complex with your fucking shameful ignorance. You point the finger at me. It's fucking disgusting. It's the same bullshit. Like, I'm terribly sorry. Nah, you don't come to Dire Mall with a druid. You don't fuck around. And if you do, you petrification flask and all this other shit that you guys didn't do. Now, he didn't have any problems.
Showed the egotistical side of Thor.
Yeah, it's egotistical, motherfucker. It's called being the best. You don't come to the fucking Olympics and not dump your fucking petrification flask. That's the whole goddamn point. It's called doing your best, you know?
Admittedly, was already present in his content.
it's shit.
I could give a flying fuck about doing my best in the real world, but when it comes down to 5 motherfuckers and their hardcore lives and 5 to 10 weeks of their hard work comes down to whether or not I play right, I'm fucking around and I'm doing the petrification flask in the crazy blink frost nova to try to save my fucking homies, and I have before. I've done that before. I've definitely done that before too. I've done that before. I've saved people on mage. I've saved people on priest. I've saved. Okay, I beat Suit Up Tsunami Adept, which is the greatest players in the world. Do you understand? I beat them with a fucking grip of faith. Or, life grip, you know. I beat 15 of the best players on the fucking planet with a single spell. Because I'm not bad like you. I don't come to the Olympics and not petrification flask. That's the fucking problem. There's been so much shit recently. We can look in the fucking YouTube. You think I'm being a fucking dick about this, but no. I can type this into the YouTube search and I'm going to get one of the most famous World of Warcraft videos of all time, right? I hate to say this, but it is true, right? Why it's rude to suck at World of Warcraft. Now, I don't like this content creator, right? But I like the content, right? Why it's rude to suck at Warcraft, right? You guys, it is rude because at that point, you guys have pulled together, like, okay, so two of these 5 people died, right? Those 2 people, they had at least 1 petrification flask each. You understand this $7,000 cash, USD, burned up when those characters died? You understand at least $7,000, if not $10,000 to $15,000 USD. Fucking burned up into smoke like fucking black tar heroin on a tinfoil or something like that. It's insane. It's like watching my ex-girlfriend burn $480 worth of drugs in a single hour or something like that. It's fucking insane. It's that sort of weird shittiness. That's how bad you guys were, though. You had $7,000 worth of outs that you didn't use. That's how fucking bad you are. If you were actually good at life or the game or this or content or any of this stuff, you would have clicked the petrification flask like S-Fan. You know, yeah, I mean, swear to God, by the end of the hardcore season, I'm sure that S-Fan probably clicked something like 20 petrification flasks, something like this, 20. And on top of it, he still lost like 15 characters or something like that. One of them was in your terrible OnlyFans raid in Molten Core. I know, because I track this stuff like baseball, because I play baseball better than everybody else on the fucking planet. I'm the Mickey Mantle here, motherfucker. I know WoW better than everybody but Begon. It's insane. Everybody but Begon. And so, like, yeah, and I see them play like this. I'm like, why are you in Dire Maul with a Feral Druid? Why are you bitching at the mage who zoom? Why did you pull 4 packs, you fucking moron? I watched you pull those packs, and I'm like, why are you tanking? You don't belong being tank in a fucking endgame guild that has all of the world's public, you know, streamer interest in it. You don't belong tanking in OnlyFans if you pulled those 4 packs. You don't belong tanking in fucking OnlyFans if you went to Dire Maul with a Feral Druid. You don't belong in OnlyFans if you are yelling at the mage who zoom. You don't belong there, motherfucker. I belong there, not you. And as it was, right? When the world found out how fake these fucking people are, all of this, it unraveled inside of 3 days. When they canceled Pirate Software, that was also the death of WoW Hardcore. It was the death of fucking OnlyFans. It was the death of Asmongold's career in a certain way. It was a lot of really terrible, toxic bullshit. You guys watched all those bitch-ass streamers tear each other apart for like a week afterwards. There was girls screaming in the fucking Discord and shit like this. There was people getting G-kicked. They G-kicked Pirate fucking Software. How dare you G-kick Pirate fucking Software? You G-kicked some shithead who just stole your tank's information to use his credit card to pay for a vacation or something like that. You don't kick fucking you don't G-kick Pirate Software. He's never gonna fucking speak to you again. I don't care if he's bad. I don't care if you say he's bad. You just don't treat people like that, you fucking worthless, valueless, moralist pieces of shit. You're worse than Donald Trump.
Children chasing each other around a field for no other reason than because it felt fun in the moment, and children chasing each other in a game of football with concrete.
Yeah, right? Yeah, I play the game of football. These were scared children running around trying not to get tagged. I'm terribly sorry, but that's not what you do at the top of the World of Warcraft scene. I know, because I've been there, bitch. I've been there for years. I'm still there. I still have one of the highest achievement fucking points in the fucking game. I'm still there. I still have shit that you can't get. I've got Trial of the Grand Crusader. You don't have it, bitch. You don't have it.
However, in Isa's work, this was largely...
Got it with bag on. You know what I'm saying? I got witnesses. You know what I'm saying? Like, we opened the gates of Encourage. You know, understand? On the fucking venture company. We are like a end game, world-class fucking motherfucking crew. 200 to 700 strong, depending on the year or whatever. We have one of the strongest organizations on the fucking planet. And you act like we're fucking children. I don't care. It doesn't change the fact that we handle our fucking business. And I cancel people like you. I cancel Pirate Software. When I turned and scrubbed it, the entire rest of the internet turned and scrubbed it too, and they never watched him again, like me.
To distinguish between children chasing each other around a field for no other
I'm
reason.
not a child chasing somebody around on a fucking field. I am when I'm drunk, and so then I play Fortnite or whatever, you understand? But I'm not a child running around on a fucking field like some kind of goddamn effort, what was that dude that Taylor Swift married or dated or whatever? I'm not some loser on a fucking football field. I'm not some child on a fucking football field, and I will not be treated like this. And understand, you guys came here and you acted like that. You acted like children. And you ran around a battlefield like children.
Them because it felt
I mean, the way he acted, the way he treated you is how a general would treat you. He was like, "What are you talking about? What can I do for you? I've got 1200 mana. What am I gonna do? I'm gonna pull a sheep out of my fucking ass. What am I gonna do? I can mana gem, yeah, but I mean, if I do anything, I'm gonna die. Why should I sacrifice my fucking mage ass for your fucking idiot asses who pull 4 packs?" You know what he's thinking. I thought it too live in real time when I watched it.
In the moment, and children chasing each other in a game of football with
it was like children chasing each other in a game of football. It was so cringe that it fucking canceled WoW Hardcore outright. I never played it again. I mean, I didn't play it before that. I had left like 5 months before that. I left. I know where my character is too. She's standing inside a fucking like a horde in Splinter Tree Post in Ashenvale. She's like 35 or something like that. She's a undead rogue, if I recall, I believe. Yeah, she's like an undead rogue. And I remember I tried to log in the next day and I was like, nope, the mode's toxic, the game's toxic, the streamers are toxic, the bullshit fucking swiper piece of shit swiper community is fucking toxic, and they swipe their way to fucking victory their entire goddamn lives. And then they see somebody like me come along or Pirate come along who didn't swipe to fucking win, who actually had jobs and lives and it did shit like this, and they tear us apart because they're like, you're morally superior because you were And it's like, yeah, he was because he did everything he could do. That's something you pieces of shit never do anymore.
Winners and losers.
He was because he did everything he could do. He ran back into the pack like 4 times. That runs you
Its discussion in relation to video games is credited to sociologist T.L.
Yeah, and it comes down to Dunning-Kruger. You went into OnlyFans, the greatest guild of all time, greater than my guild, which I didn't think was possible, you understand? You went into a guild that was by default greater than the guild that I ran. I ran the greatest guild in World of Warcraft for a long time, motherfucker, like 5 years, you understand? And I was like, no, they'll never have a guild as great as mine ever again, you understand? I'm the best there is out of 17 million people. The 17 million people that count or whatever, right? Gamers. And like, you know, the greatest intellectuals of 5 generations, you know, the only people that actually count or whatever, the greatest nerds of 5 generations or whatever, and I dominated, you understand? And so I go back and I look at it and I'm like, but like, you know, the toxicity of the crowd, the toxicity of Pirate, the toxicity of Six Dropping. I'm sorry, but that's who he is to me. His name is Six Dropping. That's what his name was when I met him. I'm always going to think of Thor as Thor instead of Pirate Software because his name was Thor when I met him. Like, motherfucker, like their names were different when I met them. I met these guys 6 or 7 years ago when they were pissant little kids who didn't have the same social status as I had. It is fucking weird to watch them scrub out of World of Warcraft of all places. This guy, he raises ferrets and he's making his own video game. What the fuck does he care about hardcore World of Warcraft? I'll tell you, exactly as little as I care. I care very little. I think I played World of Warcraft for a week when the expansion hit last year or whatever it was. And it's like, I don't give a flying fuck about this anymore. You guys care about it, but I don't care about it. He doesn't care about it.
A 2006 book, Play Between Worlds.
Yeah, Play Between Worlds, where like somebody who thinks that they're Dunning-Kruger, the best in the world, comes into your fucking raid, doesn't know why it's rude to suck at World of Warcraft and fuck over 40 other people or whatever, or get 2 people killed out of the 5 people that entered the dungeon or whatever, and then you got to go back for 6 or 8 weeks and grind your character all the way the fuck back. And I'm not kidding when I say 6 to 8 solid weeks, like not 6 to 8 weeks of weekends of 4-hour sessions. I'm talking about 6 to 8 weeks of 14-hour fucking days is what happens when you die as a 60 in WoW Hardcore. It's one of the reasons why I left the mode so many times. How much poison am I supposed to inject into my fucking veins, you know? How much poison am I supposed to inject? You know,
instrumental play is a goal-oriented approach that values efficiency, expertise, and
efficiency. Like, it's like, okay, so let's see. There's a difference between the guy who just got obsessed with Texas Hold'em, who has $10,000, who just sat down at the table, who's only been playing for a week, and the people at the table who have been playing Texas Hold'em for 35 years, who have a little crew running, who deal with each other and kick scrubs out of their fucking poker table and shit like this. There's a big fucking difference between, you know, are you Dunning-Kruger? Are you the guy who sat down at the table with the fat stack who thinks that he can beat poker just because he's Jesus or whatever? No, you should probably be the people sitting at the table for 35 fucking years who run the table.
Optimizing strategies as part of play. In instrumental play, the point of playing is not to reach the end, but to find the best way of getting there.
Yeah, like goal-oriented instrumental play is how all WoW raiders go about their business. That's how I taught all my crews, all my people. It's like, I don't give a flying fuck if we succeed at this. I don't give a flying fuck if we kill the boss or go home with loot. I don't care what the RNG loot drop is. I don't care if they watch us with their fucking cameras or not. I don't fucking care, you understand? I want to see that we can do this and have fun. That's it. That's the goal. That's the goal. And when you guys got all caught up in boosts and money and petrification flasks and OnlyFangs and boosting and bullshit and you killed World of Warcraft, I never touched the goddamn game again. Now I'm a casual. I come in and I drop my little 12 hours at the expansion and I leave.
Record, not a discussion of good players as a
good versus bad. I would say Dunning-Kruger is bad. That's when you think you can do something, but you don't actually know if you've done it enough to know, right? So I spent most of my time dying for the last 27 years. I've spent since I was 17 years old or something like this. I spent most of my time dying and dying and dying and dying and dying, getting better, doing it again, taking another swing. You get knocked down, you get up again, you never let it get you down. You get knocked down, you get up again, you never let him bring you down, over and over again. And to this point, and I'm at this point in my career, I pull Fortnite wins all the time over kids who spend 200 hours a week on fucking Fortnite. I know they do because I go and look at their profiles sometimes. They spend 250 hours on Fortnite every fucking week. Like week. You understand? Like not week, but I mean like, you know, 240 hours a month, excuse me. It's like, you know, they spend like 100 hours a week on Fortnite. It's like 400 hours a month or something like that. I come in for my 10 hours a month or whatever, and I just stomp them in because I'm just not thinking about it that way. I know that I'm gonna have fun. If you get in the way of my fun, then I'm gonna kill you. Right? And that's my goal-oriented approach to life. If you get in the way of my fucking fun, then I'll fucking kill you.
As opposed to bad players. We are talking about the ways you play the game in which being good.
Yeah, so my friend Begon, he considers good to be knowing the boss, knowing the calls, knowing the phases, knowing what happens, knowing every call, knowing your RNG, knowing what your crit is, how much crit you're going to get, when you use your burns, when you be the best DPS on the planet and get sharded and blown around the world like you're fucking famous, even though they don't pay you any goddamn money. You have any, do you know how many times I have topped the world charts? And I mean world charts. Do you know how many times I've set Guinness Book of World Records? It's like 450 or something like that. Now they were Guinness Book of World Records when I set them for like Disc Priest or Holy Priest, but I mean some people they slave over like one single fucking Guinness Book of World Records. But by the 100th world record that I set, I was just like, I don't care about this anymore. My mother doesn't care about this anymore. My girlfriends don't care about this anymore. My friends don't care about this anymore. Nobody cares about this. Only I care about this. And when you get over yourself, you begin to understand that it doesn't matter how many world records you set. It's about how much fun you have. When you set 400 world records or something, you're just like, I don't know. I was the best healer of all time on Heroic Ragnaros, the greatest boss in World of Warcraft or whatever. It is just weird, you toss out some symbol that would make 100,000 healers go cross in anger and fucking envy and shit like this. It's weird. The kind of Donald Trump response I think people get. It is fucking weird, and it's like, but that stuff doesn't matter, because as long as I'm having fun healing, then my job is finished. You understand? I don't care how many world records I fucking set. I don't care how well you did. I don't care that you didn't pop the petrification flask. I don't care how much money you burn on this. I don't care how much money you want me to not make or whatever. It doesn't matter.
Considered desirable. This is a critical distinction, and perhaps...
Seriously, man, you gotta stop clicking. Remember how I lectured this fucking stream about Pirate Software clicking his fucking monogems, right? You thought I was some idiot shithead who was just talking some fucking, some snafu or whatever. But nah! Seriously, man, this is from 3 years ago. Seriously, man, you gotta stop clicking. You gotta learn how to use your keyboard. You'll be so much better at the game. Thank you for the vid. The clicking, oh god, the clicking. This hurts to watch. Please stop clicking. Why are you clicking your abilities? You have keybinds, you have keyboards, and it's weird because that's my response to it. But I mean, that's these guys' response to it 5.5 years ago, the minute that it hit the fucking live waves. That's their response to it. You begin to understand, like, my response isn't the wrong response. It's like, Jesus Christ, look at this fucking bad clicking his clickies. That's acceptable in Dungeons and Dragons Online. It's not acceptable in WoW.
Away from all of this, it is this confrontation.
It's acceptable in Baldur's Gate 3. It's acceptable in Guild Wars 2 because it's a joke game. It's acceptable in Minecraft. It's acceptable in a bunch of joke games. But it's not acceptable in World of fucking Warcraft. It's just not. You have to be using your keybinds that are right next to your hand. If you have to take your mouse and drag your mouse over to some clicky on the screen, you are a bad fucking software nerd. You're not a good gamer. If you like, and that's the problem too, because back then when I was 16 years old, I was like, how can I bind my psychic scream to my shift F key so I don't have to drag my mouse over, right? And that was in the first year that I played the game or whatever. And then, okay, I swear to God, by the end of the vanilla expansion, there were people in my raid that were like, "Oh my God, you have 36 keybinds?" And I was like, "Yeah, how don't you have 36 keybinds? I have 36 spells. I use them all the time. Renew 1, renew 2, renew 3, renew 4, greater heal 1, greater heal 2, prayer of healing 1, prayer of healing 2, power word shield 1, 2, 3, 4, prayer of mending, inner fire, mind control, fucking, all the things that a really good priest can do in Dungeons and Dragons and World of Warcraft, right? And no, I'm not reaching for those things with my right hand on a mouse. I'm pressing Shift F. Now, this is true of nerds way back in the 80s, before video games were even a thing. They were using macros and scripts for Windows way back when my mom knows more about macros on DOS shell, on DOS, than these current gamers playing World of Warcraft. And that's fucking weird. Like, you understand, you're a gamer, you're a PC gamer, you should know your scripts and your keybinds and your macros. Like, I've written probably 4 billion macros in my lifetime. I guarantee it. I'm confident in that number, too. If you want to know what makes me the greatest gamer in the fucking world, I have the greatest command of macros that exists, I believe, across all the MMOs. Yeah, I can write sets of macros for any game that exists. I mean, I don't even think the developers can do that.
Game is a...
I guarantee that the ghost crawler Greg Street doesn't know how to macro Final Fantasy XI, but I do. The guy who made $1 billion. I guarantee that Bobby Cockdick, the rapist murderer from fucking Blizzard, the software developer rapist murderer, right? Bobby Cockdick, the fucking CEO of Blizzard Entertainment, the guy who got the inquest from the state of California, that guy. He doesn't know how to write macros in Final Fantasy 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. He doesn't know. He just doesn't know. He doesn't know how to write macros in WoW, I guarantee it. He doesn't know how to write macros in ESO. He doesn't know how to write macros in fucking old school RuneScape. He doesn't know how to hack old school RuneScape or WoW or Windows or anything like this. And I'm not bragging about this knowledge like it means something, because it doesn't. I'm saying that you can't be the best in the world if you can't do those things. I'm the best in the world, not you, bitch. You made money. I'm the best in the world. I don't care about your fucking money. I'm still the best in the world. It's not, whatever.
That the correct way of playing a game is one in which you are good at
Did
the
you
game.
include the footage of you clicking on abilities on your hotbar as a joke? How does one play WoW for so long but still end up clicking abilities and keyboard turning? It's just so inefficient. It made me want to puke in the sink. I didn't write this shit. I'm not writing this shit. Like, literally, that's what my response is to modern people. Not just in gaming either. They're so bad at what they do.
Some natural force of reality, but an imposed value. If you've ever gotten destroyed...
Like, I think my mother would be proud if she were to hear me say it, right? But it's like, I compare these people to my mother, and I find them wanting. My mother, it's an insult to her to say it like that. But I mean, like, these gamers who have done this for 25 years, I still think my mother would be better at this than them, because she at least gives it all whenever she does something. These people don't, right? Like Hobson says, right? If you don't set yourself up with a higher skill, you set yourself up for a higher mess.
In a video game and felt awful about it, just ashamed of how hard.
This is what I do when I watch other people do it. I'm like, oh no, you're bad. I could do that so much better than you. I can list the programs and the scripts and the macros. It's not like it's some theory. I can literally describe the ways in which I'm better than you.
That feeling isn't objective or natural. It is an instrumental value that you are imposing on yourself.
Yeah. So I know that you care about killing Ninja. I know that you care about killing that guy on Siege or CSGO 2 or Apex or whatever the fuck you're playing right now, or Overwatch, right? You really care about killing that enemy tank or whatever. The only person I've ever cared about in this entire world is me. It's not selfishness. It's actually a desire to defeat myself. And I can't. I can't defeat myself. Other people can defeat me if they get the upper hand or a third-party rotation kill or some such, right? They can beat me. But I can't beat myself. And these guys, they try to play other people. I just race my own ghost. And I don't ever lose. Which is how I pull, I ace tests without doing the homework. I bomb out of the 8th grade, but I can, finish with a master's. I can, what else can I do? There's a lot of things I can do. I can, I don't know. I think the first time I ever played competitive Overwatch, I ranked 2600.
It's common for instrumental play to be framed in opposition to fun, that they are ends of a spectrum. This is understandable in no small part.
So there's people who actually come to the fight prepared, who want to do a dance like safety dance on in Naxxramas, right? And then there's the people like me who show up, who are just going to get carried through with pain suppression, right? But the difference is, I weighed the fight, I saw that I could safety dance like the other 39 people in the fucking raid, or I could just pain suppression myself and have a nice fight. Now, yeah, that cooldown should go to the tank, but the tank's not going to die without the pain suppression. He's a tank with many cooldowns, and he's one of my best friends, and I trust him with my life, and I know he's not going to die on fucking safety dance. So no, I don't give the pain suppression to the fucking tank on safety dance. I give myself the pain suppression, I laugh at my friend Begon who's crying about dying or whatever, and I walk through it like it's nothing at all. And yeah, that's incredibly selfish, and it's shitty, and it puts the tank below me, and it doesn't really matter. But see, the difference is the tank doesn't need my cooldowns, so they're my cooldowns. They're my cooldowns. I can use them for me. I'm a doctor. I can stab a needle into my own heart with amphetamine or adrenaline or something like that if I'm experiencing an overdose. If I want, I can Narcan myself as a doctor healer if I want. I don't have to heal other people first. I could, but I mean, it might be better if I heal myself first, right? So how did I get through safety dance in Naxxramas without ever actually paying attention to safety dance? It's called pain suppression and a lot of heals, right? Now, that was a long time before I used to care about how well I did, But something about my family or my mother, or I don't even know, somebody, like, I don't know, my best friends or whatever, bled through my execution where I began to care what other people thought of me. But I mean, I'm running the pain suppression on myself every single fucking time. I'm terribly sorry. You could call that selfish, but see, I want to live through the fight. I lived through the fight. You didn't.
Because instrumental play.
I did what I had to.
towards optimization.
I went to the streets. I sold dope. I did what I had to. You understand? Otherwise, I couldn't have come up with the $350 it would have taken to keep 2 people high on heroin for 4.5 years a day or whatever.
Which can often
So I did what I had to. I'm terribly sorry. I do whatever I have to, you know.
Deeply unfun player behaviors. This gets extended out to the extreme where play framed around...
We're done with this because this guy's too right-wing, too conservative, too much of a goddamn Dungeons & Dragons loser, too bossy, too statistical, too shitty, too negative, and I just don't like the vibes, so never on my channel ever again. I didn't like that video when it came out. When he made this terrible, bold statement like why it's rude to suck at World of Warcraft. And he's right, but I still don't like how he went about saying it, kind of like Donald Trump. So I cancel him, I unsub. I'm sorry, we'll go back. I cancel him, I unsub. I don't like what he's saying. Like somebody recently told me that I'm too woke. And the first thought that I had was like, oh man, how can I cancel you? Oh, I'm too woke, am I? You want to get canceled, do you? You know, it's funny, but it's not. You know. So anyways, so this guy, I don't like him. His name is I like Internet Anarchist, but I don't like his World of Warcraft video. He doesn't know anything about World of Warcraft. He called Dire Maul a raid. Dire Maul's not a raid. Dire Maul's a dungeon that you never, ever, ever go to. Pirate Software should have known.
And nothing left. You weren't paying attention to party resources.
You weren't paying attention to party resources. You weren't paying attention to what I was doing. You weren't paying attention to pulling 5 packs for some goddamn inexplicable reason, and we're all face palming when we see it.
And you weren't paying attention to where the boss was.
You just weren't paying attention to where the boss was or anything like this. Now, the way that he's listing these fucking problems, right? We've heard it before out of people like me, all the shithead guild leaders and raid leaders and stuff, right? I've heard this before out of so many different raid leaders yelling at me at the top of their fucking lungs that I know what he's gonna say before he says it. You weren't paying attention. You pulled 5 packs. You didn't pay attention to my mana bar. You're demanding miracles when I don't have miracles. You could petrification flask. Why didn't you? But he didn't say that, did he? He could have been like, why didn't you petrification flask? If you're gonna suck dick and pull 5 packs, you should probably petrification flask so the rest of us can leave.
That's not on me.
This showed the egotistical side of
Yeah,
Thor.
I know, man. You think this piece of shit has an ego. You think this piece of shit has a fucking ego. Trust me, you haven't met anybody yet. You haven't met my friends. This guy doesn't have an ego. Trust me, this guy's a nice little pussy kitten. I would eat him alive like they ate him alive in high school. You understand? Like, I'm just not a nice person like this. I've never been, and neither are my friends, neither are my raids, neither are the top gamers in the world. They're not nice people. They're used to winning. They're not used to losing like this guy and getting kicked out of OnlyFans and getting canceled or any of that stupid ass shit that happens to Republicans or Trumps or anything like this. We're just not used to getting canceled. We don't do shit that gets you canceled. We're not scrubs who come to Dire Maul with druids.
Admittedly, was
and I know that's the funniest thing I'm saying because any WoW player will end up rolling on the floor every single time that I say this sentence, right? We don't come to Dire Maul with druids. We don't do as Donnie Diaper Don does, right? We don't do as Diaper Don does, right? We don't do as the Diaper Don does. We don't come to fucking Dire Maul with feral druids. We just don't do that. We don't do as Donnie Don't does. We don't fail all the time. We just succeed the first time. Otherwise, you lose your hardcore character, remember?
In his content.
If you fail at all in hardcore, in any way or form, and that's one of the things that I'm certain that you pieces of shit just don't have through your mind. I know because I immediately didn't want to play the blame game the minute the pirate got his fucking party killed or whatever, right? But there is a difference here. Like... your win-loss ratio is directly proportional to how toxic you are to your team in the heat of the moment, you know?
That is a horrible goddamn direction.
It's horrible goddamn directions. Blah, 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 blah.
But his fans didn't pay much
attention. But he's right, though. He's right, though. You were praying for miracles from an empty gun that had no ammo. You were like, shoot, gun, shoot. And he was like, I have no ammo. And you're like, but you're a gun, shoot. And he was like, but I'm a mage. I have no mana. I have no ammo. I can't shoot. I mean, I have to break it down for the tablet brain rot generation because they don't seem to get it. But I mean, I'm sorry. You can't bleed milk from a stone. or whatever it is you want to do here. You can't make the mage suddenly start casting spells. It's not some Hollywood movie where they channel down Jesus to flash some superpowers out of their hands like Harry Potter or something like this. The mage is out of fucking mana. He's not going to shit some mana into his hands and then suddenly start casting spells. He's going to stand there, shrug, and be like, I can't help you. I can't sheep. I can't frost nova. I can't blizzard. I can't do crowd control. I can't slow these mobs down. I can't do it, right? And he was honest about it. He was like, what do you expect from me? I'm
Attention to it, since till this point, Thor was seen as a passionate, talented developer who genuinely cared about the game.
I like Pirate Software as much as I don't like Pirate Software, and we're gonna get off this. Fuck Pirate Software.
Welcome back, friendos. If you're an MMO player, you've no doubt encountered the same frustrations.
You know, as much as I want to blame him, I don't see a fucking error there. The mage didn't die. He supported his party with every spell that he possibly could have. He was the first one out, which is what he should have been. He definitely could have drank to full and gone back into the fight if he was stupid and wanted to die. But I mean, if he were to go back into that fight, he would have died. So I mean, like, what? I mean, you can't bleed blood from a stone. You just can't. I mean, that guy, he had no mana. What can you do? It sucks, but I mean, I've been around it long enough to know you can't make a priest or a healer or a cleric heal or cast spells or CC or crowd control when they don't have mana. It's like saying, God, come down from the clouds and save me. It's kind of like that. It's something that makes me so angry when I see it in the wild. It's like, God's gonna come down from the clouds and save us all or something. No, motherfucker, you needed to not run so you could cast a sheep is what needed to happen. But you did, you ran I mean, because they pull 5 packs. So now, you know, now the two bads in the party are screaming at you and they're like, God, come down from the clouds and save us. And it's like, nah, man, you needed to not pull the 5 packs.
It's me. While the rest of the games industry has
now, I could be the most feckless, crazy, careless person in the real world. I don't give a shit. I'll set a dumpster on fire by mistake. I don't fucking care. I don't care about the world burning. I really don't care about this shit. I will set the world on fire and not give a fuck about it. I really don't care about that. You understand? But what I won't do is be bad on a video game when it's on somebody else's time.
Progress. The MMO genre is at best stuck in amber and at worst regressing. There was one big announcement a few years ago that people, myself included, hoped would bring a change for the better, but so far might have actually made things worse. I'm talking about Unreal Engine 5. It seems like every single new MMO has made in Unreal Engine 5 slapped on the front of the trailer as a selling point. But what I'm seeing both in community sentiment as well as my own experience playing these games,
the engines aren't that good.
It's having the opposite effect.
It's better than Unity.
That they intend. They're saying made in Unreal Engine 5 because that's supposed to be exciting. But so far, it's been nothing.
I'm sorry, but every single time I hear some publisher brag about having Unreal Engine 5, I think about, yeah, but are you Epic? And they go, no, I'm Face Punch, or I bought from Unity or something, right? And it's like, but you're not Epic. Who cares how awesome Unreal Engine 5 is unless you're Epic? Because Epic doesn't let you run Unreal Engine 5 at its peak, or you would compete with Fortnite. They won't let you compete with Fortnite. They need that money. So anybody bragging about how they had the Unreal Engine 5 on their game is sort of ignorant, sort of. It's ignorant. It's ignorant.
Disappointment.
They're so ignorant.
Ready, of course, to throw my hat in with the idea.
There's things about the Unity engine that I like more than Unreal Engine 5. There's things that I like about Unreal Engine 5 more than I like the Unity engine. I like Crytek. I like fucking Creation. I like Creation, Weir, Bents, and Rips. You know, New World is some crazy Unreal Engine 5 fork that's been like farmed like some kind of product for like 5 years and shit. I like engines. I like all of the engines that are out there right now. But I am very, very tired of Unreal Engine 5.
Engine 5 is the literal devil, or the...
Yeah, like I'm so sick of Unreal Engine 5 trees that I don't ever want to see them again. Let's go on to Fortnite and look at Unreal Engine 5 trees, guys. How's that sound?
already one of the 4 horsemen of the MMORPG apocalypse.
No. I know what the 4 horsemen of the MMO apocalypse is. It's boomers dying at the age of 40 due to drug addictions, poverty, suppression of their from their government, or sorrow, right? That's the first 4 horsemen of the MMO apocalypse, right? Is strife, home and abroad. That's the first problem. It's the first horseman and the 4 horsemen of the MMO apocalypse is strife, at home and abroad, right? Or what I really mean is poverty. Poverty is the worst thing that faces an MMO player, because you can't put 100 hours of your week into a 400-hour month without being poor. It's just the sheer truth of it. You can't, I mean, you might have some money because you have money or whatever, but I mean, you can't make money if you have 100-hour-a-week addiction to a game that doesn't pay any money, right? Which is everybody in the gaming industry. So, yeah, I'm going to go solo to start, and I'm going to drop it off the YouTube here in a few minutes. I'm going to play some video game music, but first we'll listen to Kira, right? The first horseman of the 4 horsemen of the MMO apocalypse is poverty. Most gamers would rob a bank if it meant a brand new gaming PC. Most gamers would probably run a child sex ring if they had to. Most gamers would steal and hustle and sell cash cards and sell Bitcoin and NFTs and stuff, and they do. Gamers will do anything so they can sit around and do what they love to do for 100 hours a week. They'll do anything. I know I have. I've sold drugs and stolen and stole cars and done all types of shit. I've robbed LAN cafes and I've stolen computers and ripped off the Amazon for computers and all types of shit, and consoles and games. I've broken into game stores and all types of crazy shit. It doesn't matter. I will do anything to keep my 100-hour a week lifestyle going. I don't give a flying fuck what anybody else says. It's so much stronger than heroin and methamphetamine and cocaine like combined, but it's not destructive. It's never killed anybody. There's been some deaths in the competitive scene because of competitive games. Like they'll play Diablo 3. My favorite story about this is a guy who played Diablo 3 for 52 hours and then his heart gave out because of the fucking Red Bulls that he was drinking at the LAN cafe, right? And he died playing Diablo 3 RMT or RMTAH, right? And we were all like, fucking moron. But then we all like looked in the mirror and we were like, oh God, we all have habits that are 2 or 3 times as bad as that guy. He's doing 70 hours. I'm at 140. He died at 52 hours. What the fuck are you talking about? When the World of Warcraft, like Lich King Crusade hit, no, I'm sorry, not the Burning Crusade, but when the Lich King hit, I think I went, I mean, what's 5 times 24? I think I went 126 hours or something like that. 126 hours, and I mean, my entire 400-man guild did too. Every last one of them all went like 5 solid real-life days. The girls, everybody, you understand? Everybody did it because it's not some addiction. It's like your lifestyle, you understand? You care more about that than you do about them towing your car or whatever. You know, it is your lifestyle. You care about that character. You care about the game. You care about it more. So yeah, so like, so that guy, he died after 52 hours. He was up for 52 hours playing Diablo 3 on launch day. It was like launch day as in like 2 days later after launch, right? But he hasn't gone to bed yet. And his heart gave out and he died in the Hong Kong LAN cafe, and I forget his name. But I remember that story quite a bit because I'm like, oh my God, I constantly outdo that guy by 3 or 4 or 5 times that. I constantly outdo that. Without trying, like that thing that killed that guy. I do that all the time. I mean, that's a Wednesday to me. That's like midweek for me, pulling 100 hours, So, I mean, not anymore. Not past the age of 40, but yeah, from the age of 16 until about 40, I was pretty used to pulling like, 120-hour weeks. They don't pay you for that, but I don't care. Everybody else in humanity's history, if you were to say to them, you've got to do this for 120 hours, but they won't pay you, they'll be like, no. But when I hear, oh, you can play video games for 120 hours this week, I go, oh yeah, I get to do that? I'll do that. I will do that. I will. Watch. He thinks he's gonna do this. He isn't. Yeah, you're not doing this. I'm gonna knock you off of the fucking dam if you don't run. Run, bitch! Run, bitch! Nope, I'm gonna block you. Nope! Off! Jump or die, bitch! Jump or die! He did die. He died. What is this? What is this? Get in the car or die, one or the other. Fucking bot. How is he jumping me? I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you. Sorry. I'm gonna kill you. This guy's gonna kill you. I don't have to kill you. This guy's gonna do it for me. Bye, bitch. I'm gonna kill you. All of you. All 10 of you. You think I'm kidding? I'm pointing the finger at all 10 of you. I'm gonna get all of you. Watch. This guy thinks he's got something. Nah, I don't got anything. Damn! Do it again. Yeah, I'm looking at you. I'm gonna kill all 10 of you, bitch. I'm gonna kill all 10 of you. I'll take the 10 next people. I'll take all 10 of you, bitch. Push it, push it, push it. Try it. That's right. Run. You have to run. You have to run. You know it. You have to run. Is my communication on? Mouse sensitivity, volume, sound, creator options, voice chat is 0, but the actual voice chat, clipping, sound, volume.
To go alongside Korean, Kickstarter and mobile. We're not quite there yet, but I will admit that there's a worrying trend, and we're only a few releases away from me being comfortable in saying, yeah, stick it with the other 3. First, let me explain the elephant in the room about why there is a massively negative sentiment about massively multiplayer online role-playing games. I think this can be fairly summarized with a lack of progression, innovation, or in most cases a loss of vision for what true MMOs used to be. Let's be real, most of the MMO audience tend to be older, or at least the MMO audience that find it difficult to play the currently popular titles, and therefore people that are more...
I will kill all 10 of you!
Due to being older, they likely grew up playing MMOs when the genre was very different. This is usually a topic where somebody is about to come in, push their glasses up their nose and say, well, actually, guys, it's you who has changed. You're no longer a teenager. The games aren't the problem. It's just rose-tinted glasses. It's just nostalgia, etc., etc.
The games are the problem.
Every genre changes over time. This is observable. It's unreasonable to believe ours wouldn't. But it's still important to know and recognize that it has. Older MMOs focused on a completely different audience. It was a totally different way of playing games. They were designed with a different mindset in mind, and they play nothing like modern MMOs do. No doubt we have changed alongside.
Okay, guys, it's Sunday. I'm drunk. I don't want to hear this nerd talk about nerdy stuff anymore. I'm terribly sorry. I would rather hear some music, so I'm going to bomb out now. I love you guys. Thank you so much for watching my channel. You've been watching Skycatlive. I'm a full-time variety gamer all day, every day. Put me on in the background. Click on the cat space to donate. Come on down. Come on down to my channels. I have many thousands of videos on YouTube. I have many thousands of hours on Twitch. Tens of thousands of hours. I love you. Thank you for all the likes, subs, and follows from Mango and Saad and Number 2 and all the people that have been here lately. Thank you so much for your time. I don't want to get killed by this guy, but I've got to stop the video here so I can listen to some music. If you guys like good music, Come check out some Stone Love.